The supercluster cultivator's action was out of the ordinary. A water net spread out when the blue light flashed, and the water-splitting dragon-binding net fell over the thief star, covering her. With this, she had no way of escaping. Sure, Yuan was not afraid, on the contrary, shouting curses, "Shameless old Taoist, sneak attacking someone younger than you, don't you feel you've thrown away your own self-respect?" Ancestor Baili descended before Sure Yuan, a sneer blossoming in his eyes. "Thief Star, the blooming water sword sect's ancestor Baili has been looking forward to meeting you for a long time." Hearing him yell out his own star name as a blooming water sword sect ancestral master, Sure Yuan's heart thumped, thinking to herself of how did she meet with this unexpected failure. Her mouth still stubbornly said, "Do you want to break the rules of the star duels with this sort of action? Ha, not afraid of the Liangshan maiden finding trouble with your sword sect?" The reason why Sure Yuan was this confident was that she knew the star duels. Before the second phase started, the other great sect's powerful cultivators could not interfere in the star duels. Of course, this was only a tacitly agreed upon unwritten rule. During the phase when the star duels only just began, the majority of sects concealed many old freaks. Even if a star general could ignore cultivation, possessing a super strong star weapon could not be placed on par with these old monster star cultivators. During the time of the first star duel, the star generals were from the illustrious reputation they held today. Everybody in Liangshan knew, the first star generals fighting each other in close combat was like child's play from the perspective of the major schools. Some sects even contrarily killed star generals for their star weapons, astral gemstones, or even for their lovely beauty. Among these, it must be brought to attention a great sect that could not be put on equal terms with the clear void Taoists, the Devil Fiend Holy Sect. The stupidest thing the Devil Fiend Holy Sect did was that they publicly issued a manifesto to kill all star generals to prove they were Liangshan's #1 great sect. In reality, when this proof was ready, Liangshan's #1 sect did not need even a day to be destroyed. Reportedly, the Liangshan maiden had 1,000 magnificent stars fall onto the Devil Fiend Holy Sect. Its power made every hero under heaven hide within their own sects, not daring to emerge. During that night, the Devil Fiend Holy Sect's 100,000 followers were obliterated from history. At that time, the Devil Fiend Holy Sect's demonic head was a transforming star of annihilation stage pinnacle adept, but even if he was like this, he died as quietly as an ant. Ever since then, every great sect not only decisively killed errant peoples as a gesture of goodwill towards that Liangshan maiden, they actively participated in the star duels. The purpose was to glimpse the Liangshan maiden's true face, to fully grasp the transforming star. Ancestor Baili disdainfully sneered, "Should you steal from over this sect's head, certainly no wonder this ancestor would be unscrupulous. When did this young lady steal?" Sure Yuan's eyes turned, unwilling to concede. "Thief Star Shi Qian, I trust you have been well since we last met." Gong Su walked over, his eyes carrying a thread of hatred. Sure Yuan stared blankly, really not expecting the 1,000 machine gang would participate in this. At this moment, she heard another sneer. "Little sister Shi Qian, if elder sister killed you, there shouldn't be a problem, right?" Tong Yao squatted down, engrossed, her face carrying a mischievous expression, sizing up the flea on a drum caught by the net. Seeing two star masters, then seeing the 1,000 machine gang's multitude of disciples and the blooming water sword sect's attitude, she realized why they had come. Her heart immediately was helpless. This time, this young lady's doom was at hand, about to be a falling star. Two elder sisters came, Shi Qian truly has a reputation. I just don't know how you two sisters will go split me up, seeing as how little sister is only one person. The thief star giggled, not knowing how to die. This won't console little sister's worries. Tong Yao smiled. Shi Qian, bring out the thing you stole. This ancestor can agree to admit you into the sect. Ancestor Baili said coldly. This young lady did not steal any of your things. Sure Yuan twitched her mouth. Ancestor Baili waved his hand. Water thunder struck and exploded on Sure Yuan's body, and the thief star grimaced. The pain was endless, but Sure Yuan was still stubborn, not uttering a word. "Where is the majestic star and her master?" Gong Su shouted. "Are you an idiot? This young lady is a star general, how could I have something to do with a star master? Even if this young lady did know, she would not inform you." Shi Yuan sneered. Gong Su narrowed his eyes, sorrowfully saying, "To have you go steal the sect's secret technique, the majestic star's master has nothing to do with you? Do you take this servant to be as easy to fool as a 3-year-old child? Little sister Shi Qian, as long as you hand over the majestic star's whereabouts, elder sister vows to absolutely protect you safe and sound. The Blooming Water Sword sect will welcome you as a guest. You can choose young talents as your contractor, how about it?" The retreating star Tong Yao enticed. Even elder sister's contractor wants to share with little sister. Shi Yuan glanced at Chen Zhonglin. A face of loathing, Chen Zhonglin's complexion was a bit ill. Then Shi Yuan turned her head away, not looking, the manner of a dead pig that did not fear scalding water. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, not expecting the shrewd thief star to unexpectedly be unwilling to hand over the other star master. This actually was beyond their expectations, but it also made them even more convinced the majestic star's master and Shi Qian had an unclear collusion. Ancestor Baili glimpsed that Shi Yuan's belt had a milky white talisman. A radiance flashed in his eyes. He opened his hand, and though Shi Yuan cried out in fear, that talisman was sucked over. The milky white talisman had several magic scripts, and seeing this, Ancestor Baili abruptly laughed out loud. "Ancestral Master, is there a solution?" Chen Zhonglin was delighted. Thousandly Sound Transmission Talisman. 2. Ancestor Baili held the talisman in his hand, lightly asking Shi Yuan, "The thief star surprisingly has this kind of talisman. It seems the person of this sound transmission and you are not shallowly involved. Is it that majestic star's master?" The 1000 Li sound transmission talisman had carved into it a sound transmission divine intent. Using it enabled one's thoughts to be transmitted to a divine intent cultivator. Being able to allow the thief star carry this one her person, their relationship was certain to be very close. "That is only something stolen by this young lady from someplace, why don't you connect it?" "I can't say for sure if it might make some old monsters come." Shi Yuan flustered for a moment, then calmed down in a moment. How could Ancestor Baili ever be fooled by this sort of dishonest rhetoric? Coldly smiling, his fingers shook, and the talisman ignited into a ball of transparent starfire. "Lin Chong, listen to this ancestor. I'll give you 1 day to bring the thing you stole from this sect to Grindstone Mountain for a chat. Otherwise, the thief star fleer on a drum will die for you. Don't come." Shi Yuan yelled in a panic. The talisman's combustion was nearly over, changing into a ball of white mist. This mist condensed by Ancestor Baili's divine intent and shot out a white light that disappeared far, far away into the horizon. "Little sister, that's really stupid. Exploited by the majestic star, yet you still protect him so. Truly outrageous." Tong Yao frowned, incapable of comprehending this. Shi Yuan laughed uproariously, as if she had just seen a joke. "You all are truly idiots. Has elder sister ever heard of a star master that would rescue the sort of star general that little sister is from a predicament? He. Even if that 1000 Li sound transmission is for the majestic star's master, he still would not come. Actually, that is little sister's life-saving talisman. You all better run, quickly. If little sister used this talisman, little sister promised to become his star general, and then he'll come." Shi Yuan looked around at several people, smiling self-confidently. "You all can still make it if you run now." Tong Yao trembled, and the other star cultivators felt the thief star's words were reasonable, granted that Gong Su was somewhat in a mess. After all, he knew the knowledge star. If there was such an extremely wise general present, it could now be assumed that, exploiting Shi Qian to capture the majestic star, she really would not come throw her life away. "This ancestor truly wishes to make acquaintances with the adept you speak of." Ancestor Baili calmly opened his mouth, his words pressing down on a disciplined heart. The other people thought this as well. Generally speaking, in the Azure Dragon territory, the ancestral master was a top-quality cultivator. With him keeping watch, even in addition to 2 great schools' 100 disciples as well as 2 star masters, what a joke. This kind of battle array truly could kill gods if they came, could extinguish Buddhas if they came. Although they thought as much, the 2 schools' disciples still did not dare to lower their guard, properly laying down a magic circle. Sure, Yuan saw this, and her heart sunk even deeper. Even though her face feigned calm, rejoicing in other people's misfortune, Tong Yao could see that in Shi Yuan's eyes was that trace of exposed worry. Little sister, what are you nervous about? Since an adept will rescue you, it's not too late to be happy. Tong Yao shook her head as she spoke. You said it, there isn't a star master that would be willing to risk life and limb for an exploited chess piece. Oh, are you worried that your adept will be sliced and diced? No need to worry, elder sister won't do it like that. The retreating Star River churning clam's smile revealed her white teeth. Elder sister will make mincemeat out of him. Now, this is interesting. Bian City. How could Su Xing create as much trouble as Shi Yuan that 2 sects suddenly joined hands to oppose him? At this moment, he had only just finished harmonizing his breath. Squinting, he was very satisfied with the progress he had made. The blooming water cultivating origin pill was indeed awesome. Swallowing just one, the foundation of the refined blooming water divine thunder in his body was even more stable. Nurturing it in his body was getting increasingly smooth and easy. In 10 days, he had already finished refining the blooming water divine thunder a second time. Besides this, Su Xing also finally entered Nebula middle stage. Young master's progress is rapid. You can almost go try becoming an outlaw. Wu Xinjie said. Su Xing nodded. First of all, he still needed to first go find Wu Tai. According to their contract, the items should have been long done. Arriving at the weapon refinement shop, as expected, Wu Tai had already waited for a very long time. Younger brother Su Xing, amazing. Only 10 or so days, and you've entered Nebula middle stage. Wu Tai exclaimed in admiration. He originally thought that Su Xing would need 3 months at the minimum to accomplish this, but how could he know that Su Xing was contracted with 2 beautiful star generals? This sort of speed was very normal. This one beneath you has benefited from that. Ascend a mountain and dive for pearls, and notes of fellow Wu. Su Xing smiled. Currently, he was no longer unknowledgeable about refining like he was at the very beginning. He could call out the names of the majority of refined ore, iron and stone. He could also be considered as having entered the door of weapon refinement. If he did not have that notebook of accumulated experiences, Su Xing could not have done this. For it to pass on weapon refinement is a given. Pity that a certain Wu's experiences can only count as slight mastery. It's extremely far off from great masters. If you can forge the magic sealing sword, then Brother Wu is being modest. Wu Tai laughed openly, then brought out a box. Inside were placed 100 thunder fire bullets. This is 100 thunder fire bullets, little brother Su. Inspect and accept this. Su Xing's divine intent swept over it. Wu Tai's forging art was indeed out of the ordinary. The 100 thunder fire bullets' textures were even, seemingly like they were pressed from a mold, not even lacking in the slightest bit. This delicate working method that had been brought to the pinnacle of perfection made Su Xing speechless. He rolled the 100 thunder fire bullets into his sack. Wu Tai stared blankly. Seeing Su Xing accept the thunder fire bullets so quickly without checking, even thinking he was believing in him. The good opinion he had in his heart was even deeper, and then there was a silver gun. The surface of the silver blade with relic blade sand forged into it was dazzling. The lines on the gun's body vaguely flowed like a kind of indescribable graceful luster. Those who was it would be dazzled. The gun was much lighter, but holding it in his hand and secretly providing star energy, silver blade immediately emitted a brilliant light. The star energy sustained by the gun body was even stronger than before, even more solid. This relic blade sand was exceptional, as expected. Su Xing fondled it admiringly, when suddenly at this moment, an anxious divine intent penetrated into his ocean of consciousness. Big brother, sure Yuan is in trouble. A wooden boat split open the blue sky, the blue atmosphere raging, even the speed of riding sword flying would eat the dust of the boat. A well-trimmed young man stood at the very front of the boat, his eyes erupting pure light. Pinching his hands together in a seal, he steadily imbued star energy into the boat. The powerful star energy made this ordinary wind-swayed raft glisten with green light, brilliantly dazzling the eyes. He was Su Xing ever since he received Suan's thousandly emergency sound transmission. Su Xing maintained all his magic energy to fly the wind-swayed raft for several hours already, its speed putting others to shame. A fierce, protective spirit energy formed a barrier that covered up the violent tailwind kicked up by the hurried flight. Two beautiful ladies stood guard all around, their eyes exceptionally cold. Xinjie, it seems you aren't stopping me this time. Su Xing gazed at the imposing knowledge star, pretending to be relaxed as he asked. To go on this trip, that was a narrow escape, and this would be Su Xing's most grim challenge since he arrived at Liangshan continent. The Blooming Water Sword sect had set up a troop formation, waiting for him to walk right into the trap. One could imagine the vicious danger that lay inside, one man opposing one sect, that was wishful thinking. It would definitely make Su Xing into an ostrich that buried its head that this was something even he absolutely could not accomplish. Let alone, Su Xing was still somewhat confident. Xinjie won't play the role of the strict parent. The knowledge star winked. She was fully aware of her master's nature. Fleeing before a battle, that definitely would never happen. Moreover, she also felt the thief star being captured by the Blooming Water Sword sect was because of them. From sentiment and reason, what harm was there in helping her out once? Little sister Ingmei's star weapon is already 1 star. This just so happens to allow Ingmei to train. The knowledge star held the heaven-concealing star feather fan in her hand, too, a card up their sleeves, planning victory from 1,000 li away, it seemed. Save Sure Yuan then escape, that's it. Su Xing nodded. He was not arrogant enough to get rid of a supercluster cultivator currently. The two girls nodded. After a few hours, they arrived near Grindstone Mountain, vaguely making out a lightly colored barrier. Grindstone Mountain was silent, where not even a bird's cry was heard. They did not know either how many vicious dangers lay hidden in that forest. Wu Xinjie waved the heaven-concealing star fan, and a copper light moved about. The yellow rank magic, think then act sprinkled a green light, then with a shake of the feather fan, that serene light swept open and covered Grindstone Mountain. After a moment, it passed through, seeing one after the other 100 cultivators, and the highest cultivation was a supercluster early stage. The Blooming Water Sword sect ancestor Baili came, as expected. In addition to him, there were 2 thorny star masters. Young master, careful. Remember to use divine intent at the very beginning. Wu Xinjie said thus and thus. N. Su Xing let Wu Xinjie hide in the star nest, and exchanging firm looks with Lin Yingmei, with a step of his foot, the wind-swayed raft dropped into the barrier. Grindstone Mountain. This time, altogether, came 70 Blooming Water Sword sect disciples, all of their cultivations at Stardust late stage. Compared with the Blooming Water Sword sect, Gong Su's 1,000 machine gang was somewhat lacking in resources. 50,000 machine gang disciples each called out a mechanical beast, their hands grasping puppet banners, laying out an 8 doors mechanism magic circle. 3. Chen Zhonglin, fellow Gong Su, shouldn't your star general come out? A gold light fantastically emerged, it was the golden-armored, light-colored shirt Song Jia. Her forehead had a solemn Buddhist aura, making the Blooming Water Sword sect disciples and others to be endlessly shocked. Even Ancestor Baili's eyelids jumped. Song Jia coldly glanced at Tong Yao. With this sort of troop arrangement, how could Lin Chong dare come? Even if she dared, her master would not necessarily dare to do so. Song Jia opened her mouth to speak. There's no helping it if they don't come. Although Shi Qian's lacks meat, it's enough to be satisfied for a time. Tong Yao's appearance was giddy, her eyes crafty. Don't waste your energy scheming. Use your brain to think, and you will realize what Star Master would take risks for a Star General for the sake of no good reason. If you want to kill me quickly, alright? I'm sick of this. Shi Yuan seized the chance to shout. She deliberately was all smile, that gong whatever. The Divine Machine Clan's MO attack mechanism records is very interesting. Recorded inside are many powerful mechanisms. If it was any other sword sect that obtained it, it definitely would be like a tiger that has grown wings. Gong Su's complexion changed, shouting, "Thief Star, cease your provocations." He nervously shot a glance over at the ancestor Baili freely tinkering with the astral gemstone he obtained from Shi Qian. His expression was light, so it was not known if he had heard her words just now. What this young lady said was the truth. How could Shi Yuan miss the opportunity to sow dissension in their ranks? This young lady says, it would be better for the Blooming Water Sword sect to cleanly dispose of the 1,000 machine gang right here. I'll hand this mechanical great technique over to you. How about if this young lady goes and steals your true technique back? The person you're waiting for won't come anyways, and here right now is an obedient devil star. Little sister Shi Qian, do you want sister to send you back to the Liangshan maiden right now? Seeing her spit out her own star number, the devil star Song Jia brought out her Vajra's evil smiting sword. Pointing it at Shi Qian, the rays of light on the sword permeated the whole place, fleeting incessantly. Song Wan, you have no need to receive this Shi Qian's influence. Tong Yao was indifferent, she is only struggling on her deathbed. Then you all can just wait here. Shi Yuan objected. They've come. Ancestor Baili put away the astral gemstone, spitting out 2 ice-cold words. He looked at Shi Yuan, carrying a sort of holier-than-thou victorious attitude. It seems his and your relationship is not shallow. Shi Yuan went blank. A green light flit across the sky, hovering in midair. It shook everyone present for a scare. Every disciple mobilized their techniques. Flying swords and mechanical beasts began to stir. Confronting the majestic star of legends, even Ancestor Baili did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. I did not expect them to really come. Chen Zhonglin was shocked, subsequently hinting to Tong Yao. The girl did not hold back her jade water turtle dragon trident, grasping it firmly. The devil star Song Jia held her Vajra's evil smiting sword tightly, her expression grim. Even if it was Lin Chong, 2 star generals grasping 1 star heavenly weapons were not that easy to deal with. Release her. Su Xing specially added star energy, his voice like rolling thunder, resounding through the grindstone mountain, looking down from on high. Vaguely, there was a sort of frightening intention, a divine intent pressuring downwards towards the ground. Shi Yuan was dazed. Ancestor Baili did not mind her at this time, laughing heartily of his own accord, admirable, admirable. As expected, Lin Chong's master is a seriously loyal man. Fully aware this is a dragon's pond and a tiger's den, and you still dare to not be shirked without dishonor, too admirable. You are the kind of star master this old man likes, because only this way can you die quickly. Around Ancestor Baili's whole body floated several thunder water flowers, his gaze keenly staring towards Su Xing nearly at the same time. Su Xing also stared towards him, the 2 people's gazes locking. Su Xing only felt a boundless divine intent attack him, like an unstoppable, surging pressure that made it hard for him to breathe. Su Xing inwardly sneered. Ancestor Baili unexpectedly wanted to use divine intent to overwhelm him. If it was an ordinary star cultivator, falling would have been fine. After all, a nebula middle stage and a supercluster stage cultivation's realms differed too greatly. No need to mention using divine intent, just that magic energy's imposing manner could make nebula cultivators collapse. But who was Su Xing? The man that contracted the ranked 3rd knowledge star and the ranked 6th majestic star. Regarding a star energy's robustness, his ocean of consciousness was even sturdier. Without hesitation, he maneuvered his divine intent to pressure back. Bang! The two incorporeal divine intents touched each other in midair, unexpectedly exploding into a ball of violent whirlwind. Su Xing stood atop the boat's bow, only feeling the opposition's divine intent as vast and tenacious, more eager than any of the star cultivators he had encountered by 100-fold. Only naturally, Ancestor Baili was a supercluster cultivator. Regarding boundaries, he was the most powerful foe that Su Xing had run into. Ancestor Baili's divine intent was like a tide of 10,000 stampeding horses. Even Su Xing was slightly unable to resist. The immense, formless strength rushed and bubbled over. After all, Su Xing was only nebula middle stage. Being able to not fall over immediately already made the people below very much shocked. Su Xing had been shook by the divine intent that he took a few steps back. Luckily, the absolute sincerity soul technique unloaded this power. Although divine intent was formless and not unique, an unreal thing, reaching the supercluster realm of Ancestor Baili, the star energy inside his body was truly vast as an ocean, waves galloping continuously. Once divine intent was released, did it not flow like a substance akin to mercury? His divine sight's telekinesis was not the slightest bit inferior to a star cultivator's artifact, perhaps even stronger. Usually, great cultivators' imposing manners release being able to pressure everywhere was because of this logic. The berserk whirlwind ripped open the air flow brought about bubbled and shot everywhere. In a moment, a bizarre hissing sound resounded continuously. The chaotic airflow was like an approaching, severely strict sword chi closing in on everyone present from far away. The 100 disciples already were pressured to the point of no longer breathing, the sword array immediately collapsing by itself. Very incredible, worthy of being able to contract the majestic star. Directly facing the ancestral master's divine intent attack and even standing firm. Chen Zhonglin secretly admired. He felt it was strenuous. Gong Su's expression was unsightly. Only star masters that harmonized each other's star energies could resist this divine intent. He sized up while the wind swayed raft, always feeling that something was not quite right. Su Xing's complexion was increasingly unsightly, his entire body trembling incessantly, about to collapse at any time. "I'll bring you down just like this." Ancestral Baili's imposing manner burst forth, his divine intent focused and pressed down upon Su Xing, just as if he was pinned by the 5 sacred mountains. The foreheads of Lin Yingmei, who was at his side, and Su Xing flickered forth a dazzling star crest. The Star General's star energy resonated, only barely letting Su Xing hang on. Ancestor Baili howled with laughter. A nebula star cultivator unexpectedly competed fiercely with him in divine intents. It seems the man Lin Chong found was only so. Su Xing violently spat out a great mouthful of blood, the bloody mist drifting through the air. His expression was more and more unbearable, and Shi Yuan's voice was seemingly filled to the brim with sobbing, "Idiot, hurry and run." The wind swayed raft in the sky shook and was already beginning to fall apart. It looked as if Su Xing was no longer able to resist, when suddenly at this moment, Ancestor Baili saw that this man unexpectedly smiled. He unexpectedly smiled. "Not good. We fell into a trap, quickly call Senior to stop." Gong Su suddenly shouted loudly. "What did you say?" Chen Zhonglin stared blankly. Boom! Densely packed thunder fire bullets suddenly flew out from the forest, giving rise to an enormous explosion under the pressure of divine intent. A figure flew out. Only realizing now is already too late. That beautiful figure, white-handed, was spry and lively as she danced as she wished. Several hundred talismans fluttered about Grindstone Mountain like butterflies that filled the sky. Interlocking explosion, wind kill, and water arrow covered the area without warning. The 100 disciples already had been pressured breathless by the ancestors' divine intent, and now suddenly receiving this attack, there simply was not enough time to react. Looking on helplessly at the thunder-fire bullets, the 100 talismans rushed and covered their faces. Boom! A blaze reached the sky, and the earth quaked as the mountains shook. At this time, only now did Chen Zhonglin understand the meaning of Gong Su's words. Who was this girl? He was overwhelmed with shock. Su Xing deliberately used divine intent to incite Ancestor Baili, and Ancestor Baili thought of relying on this technique of a divine intent to grab Su Xing. He scarcely realized that for a supercluster cultivator to fully use that enormous divine intent, that would be like sinking a mountain into the sea. The 100 disciples present were all only just Stardust stage. How could they withstand this kind of ravaging? Originally having laid down a sword array, the magic circle instantly collapsed by itself. And along with the two people's divine intent duel that attracted the attention of everyone, the Knowledge Star took advantage of the opportunity to throw out hundreds of talismans and several tens of thunder-fire bullets. Even if a few were pushed down by divine intent, the explosion the thunder-fire bullets gave rise to still formed a chain reaction. And with a distraction such as this, the 100 disciples sustained casualties amounting to more than half their number. As far as the Knowledge Star was concerned, the most frightening thing was not the supercluster cultivator, but these seemingly insignificant Stardust disciples. When the sword array broke, the divine intent also immediately crumbled. The disciples suffered a calamity, yet Ancestor Baili's face did not change expressions. Apparently, he did not count on these low-level disciples to be able to do anything, anyways. They were not bad as cannon fodder, and now, another hidden star general had been drawn out. Ancestor Baili sneered. Raising his hand, a 10 zhang long, thick blue water thunderclap struck downwards from the sky above towards Su Xing. Thunder boomed, like 10,000 stampeding horses, and the blue water thunderclap was no less than 100 zhang in length, its momentum vast and boundless. Astonishingly, this was the blooming water divine thunder's power. Master, careful. Lin Yingmei's expression tightened. No one understood this kind of frightening thunder technique. The blooming water divine thunder was even more than Su Xing. It seemed from the 5 Spirits Law Heavenly Book's introduction that the blooming water thunder, as one of the 5 elements' astonishing thunders, its might was higher than an average Daoist realm's thunder magic by several hundredfold. Seeing Ancestor Baili's blue water thunderclap, its momentum strengthen, imposing and fierce, it had been refined at least more than 10 times. Although it was far from reaching 10,000 thunders simultaneous discharge, the point of the collapse of heaven and earth, its might still scared people. Plus, Ancestor Baili's was not a person who underestimated the enemy, too, acting without leaving the least bit of leeway. Everyone present all felt this vastly powerful blue water thunderclap's approaching and severe killing intent. Even if Su Xing had the majestic star's protection, he could not relax if it struck upon his body. Everyone thought this way, yet who would have imagined that when the blue water thunder was unveiled, Lin Yingmei leapt, unexpectedly leaving her master, an Arctic star spear glinting in her hand. Cold chi pressed and pierced, hacking towards Ancestor Baili. The majestic star's betrayal made Ancestor Baili very alarmed. According to his understanding, the majestic star should have inevitably helped block the thunderclap. Could it be this majestic star was dissatisfied with her own master and was sending him to die? It was too late for much thought, and the many thunder water flowers at Ancestor Baili's side alternated, shooting towards Lin Yingmei. The blooming water divine thunder overwhelmingly dropped down from above Su Xing, when suddenly it collided against a pure white halo. Enveloping Su Xing, a jade light condensed, and over Su Xing's head, it transformed into a many-layered ocean. Every level of white light had minute, faintly discernible incantations, showing an extremely durable appearance. Bang! 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 Like a clay ox entering the sea, the 100 zhang long blooming water divine thunders struck upon the white net. That kind of oppressive sinking noise penetrated endlessly. The jade-colored bright light enshrouding Su Xing's entire body seemed like a bottomless pit, completely sucking in the blooming water divine thunder. A jade annulus twinkled brightly. Everyone looked, and only then did they know Lin Yingmei's betrayal was planned. Astral treasure! Chen Zhonglin shouted. The profound star barrier was worthy of being called an ancient magic treasure. The blooming water divine thunder was easily submerged into that sea. The blooming water divine thunder having been broken, Ancestor Baili was tangled up by Lin Yingmei. Waving his hand to disperse the thunder water flowers, exploding one after another, the one-star Arctic star spear cleaved open a chilly wind that shattered the divine thunder. The long spear shot straight towards Ancestor Baili. The latter was the blooming water sword sect ancestral master grade after all, and seeing him suddenly point towards the sky, a blooming water thunder that was bigger than the one discharged earlier dropped from the sky. This thunderclap's water color was even more deep, its thickness somewhat terrifying. At the minimum, it was larger than the blooming water divine thunder just now by a full size. In addition, to the side of the at least 300 zhang in length thunder pillar was countless huge water balls randomly flying and rotating. This was a supercluster cultivator's power. This power was certainly just like opening heaven and splitting earth, the rapidly falling thunder pillar bringing with it a whirlwind. The earth split, and the forest was pulled out by the roots, rolling. With regards to the other party, the thunderclap just now was like comparing a small brook to a large river. Lin Yingmei looked at it as if it was nothing, her spear tip fiercely cutting. The Arctic star spear rolled out an Arctic cloud gust that condensed into a thick barrier, blocking her front. The destined star weapon's defense was far unlike the profound star barriers, especially after advancing to one star. With a type of unique material like Arctic cloud ice soul, it was indeed like a tiger that had grown wings. The moment the blooming water divine thunder touched the ice-cold Arctic cloud barrier, 5, it was like it entered into a swamp. Humph. Ancestor Baili easily pointed, a booming divine thunder exploding open. With successive booms, the Arctic cloud barrier blown to bits. Although the blooming water divine thunder consumed until nothing was left, it also blocked Lin Yingmei's attack. Ancestor Baili seemed to have already known this outcome, not even looking as he raised his joined hands. An item flew out. It was a hanging portrait with the 9 dragons glacier, 6, painted upon it. He shook the painting, and cold light flashed from inside it. 9, several zhang long, ice-cold and pure crystal long dragons flew about and coiled in the sky. They formed a mysterious magic circle, and that magic circle flickered and disappeared. Instantly, it appeared above Lin Yingmei. 9 crystal long dragons opened their maws and spat balls of fog. These 9 balls of fog were extremely cold. The moment they touched the air, they became a thick ice sheet, freezing Lin Yingmei firmly inside. This was the sect's magic weapon. Entering supercluster stage, cultivators could then refine magic weapons. Compared to artifacts, magic weapons had even more spiritual power. The magic energy they could sustain was also more profound, like this, 9 dragons ice sealing painting, 7, that could temporarily seal an opponent. However, it was clear he had forgotten Lin Yingmei's identity. Su Xing was at her side, successively making hand seals. The Lin Yingmei that had been frozen over immediately disappeared, entering the star nest. In a moment, she once again emerged from beside Su Xing. Go help Xinjie. Leave him to me. Su Xing promptly said. Lin Yingmei did not think further. Seeing Wu Xinjie currently tangled up in a battle confronting the giant in the clouds Song Yuan, Wu Xinjie was a wise general, not a military general, after all. Breaking the 2 schools' blooming water sword array and the mechanism magic circle was already less than desirable. The enemy was very intelligent, and Chen Zhonglin and Tong Yao stood guard next to Shi Qian. Perhaps they knew they could not allow them to escape after rescuing Shi Qian. Just you alone, Ancestor Baili laughed his head off. A nebula cultivator unexpectedly wanted to challenge him. You think just because you have an astral treasure that this ancestor would be unable to deal with you? Killing you is even better than killing Lin Chong. As expected, you are a stupid man. Ancestor Baili coldly smiled. He currently worried there would be no chance to kill Lin Chong's contractor, but the opposition unexpectedly arrived on his doorstep. Recalling the 9 Dragons ice seal painting, both his hands struck a seal. The blooming water divine thunder sprayed out of Ancestor Baili's pores, taking the shape of several hundred blue water thunderclaps. Let us see if your astral treasure or this ancestor's blooming water divine thunder is the powerful one. Ancestor Baili sneered, the several hundred blooming water divine thunders interweaving into an inescapable net that attacked towards Su Xing. Ancestor Baili was a steel-minded killer. The water thunder's rays of light enshrouded the grindstone mountain under a fantastic environment. Moreover, when Lin Yingmei rushed towards Song Jia, Gong Su and Song Jia already took precautions. Gong Su controlled his flying sword to execute an attack, and Song Jia hardly carelessly shook the Vajra's evil smiting sword, but having already been refined to 1 star, the Arctic Star's spear broke the artifact like paper scraps. After several moves, Song Jia was no match. Sister, come quickly. At this time, seeing Tong Yao still to the side, Song Jia could only call out. Tong Yao did not dare put on airs, having seen that the Arctic Star spear in Lin Yingmei's hand was already twinkling a white star. Unexpectedly, in such a short time, she refining her star weapon to 1 star was somewhat scary, and the only way was to join hands with the Devil Star Song Jia. The Jade Water Turtle Dragon Trident rushing out from the left brought relief to Song Jia of the pressure of confronting Lin Chong. Sister Lin Chong, just let we little sisters properly play with you. Tong Yao gave a big smile, the Jade Water Turtle Dragon Trident reflecting light clear and crystal, its tip penetrating. Seeing Lin Chong alone confront 2 star masters, how could Gong Su and Chen Zhonglin miss such a great fortunate timing? Seeing Wu Xinjie already go save Shi Qian was something they no longer cared about as the ancestor was here, anyways. She could not be saved, and the top priority, the most urgent thing the 2 star masters wanted to do most was to kill Lin Chong. As long as the majestic star panther head died, only then would they be able to feel at ease, otherwise, it would be hard to say if they could leave this place. All star cultivators, immediately kill Lin Chong. Ancestor Baili also yelled. It seemed this fighting strength on Grindstone Mountain, the panther head Lin Chong, was apparently the sole enemy. The remaining star cultivators' cultivations were not originally Nebula stage, and they immediately threw themselves into an encirclement battle to kill Lin Chong. Flying sword, artifact, saber light, 8, mechanical art, every sort of attack method emerged more and more. With a heavenly weapon at 1 star, Su Xing's star energy progressed to Nebula middle stage, and the current Lin Yingmei was incomparable. At this most critical moment, the girl was completely not a wee bit reserved, her fighting strength splitting the skies and parting the seas, churning the river. Her figure flashed by, and Lin Yingmei's slender silhouette was just like chilly wind, suddenly violent, suddenly rushing out towards the 2 star master's pincer maneuver, completely ignoring the Devil Star Song Jia, the retreating star Tong Yao and the rest saturation attack. The panther head super powerfully dodged, stepping across many zhang of space, arriving at the side of Star Cultivator knocking a cold arrow. Not saying anything further, her spear directly cut diagonally. From the spear tip came a power that was even more chilling to the bone than at any other time. This was perhaps the first time Lin Yingmei opened up her own power unbridled. A simple spear, yet its appearance was not like before. Without mentioning its movements fast enough to simply be unable to see its shadow, along with the spear's diagonal cuts, the air immediately transmitted a light sound, just as if something was broken. A clear, cold line immediately thereupon appeared, cutting out a complete locus. His expression greatly changed, completely too late to react. This Nebula late-stage star cultivator hurriedly raised both his hands to protect himself, releasing star energy with all his power, a protective artifact immediately appearing. A distinctly visible protective light suddenly appeared before Lin Yingmei's eyes, and all the cold that the spear brought with it oddly and simply knocked a strike against it. Shatter. 9. A crisp breaking sound once again was transmitted out, a violent reaction simply out of the imagination. The star cultivator maintained his dumbstruck appearance, but the girl already swept past his body. The Arctic star's spear seemed dull, yet it was actually incomparably valiant. A sharp, cold light shot onto the opposition's protective cover and ruptured it just like a chicken egg. An ice-cold trajectory like lightning in the dark, there was a flash, and he died. This spear raised a storm. That star cultivator's neck spurted a spray of blood several meters high. Almost as if his pupils were melting, he wobbled and collapsed. A valiant attack. His pupils violently shrunk. Chen Zhonglin and the other star masters' expressions immediately changed greatly. If they suffered this spear, inevitably, they would go nowhere at all. A Nebula late-stage star cultivator unexpectedly was dispatched in a flash by Lin Chong. This was the Panther Head. This was the Panther Head, but things had barely started. Lin Yingmei whirled her body, the corner of her mouth sweeping into an arrogant curve. The Arctic star spear, its cold light hovering, a ball of snowy yet not snowy fog spilling out from that mysterious pattern on the spear body. Astonishingly, it stored an ice-cold, bone-chilling and dreadful energy, its sharpness sharper than the world's most legendary blade. The other star cultivators dripped with sweat, gritting their teeth as they struck consecutive hand seals. Don't run. In a moment of pause, Song Jia stepped forward to dodge, the Vajra's evil smiting sword trying to command people before Lin Yingmei's next attack. She absolutely was not the only person with this line of thought. Nearly at the same time as the star cultivator's fall, the rest of the star cultivators simultaneously moved, attacking towards Lin Yingmei together. A cold light flashed across her eyes. In an instant, a loathsome smile unexpectedly appeared on Lin Yingmei's face. Her body was seemingly in mid-air, her footsteps agilely rotating, cutting out a beautiful, graceful, admirable and outstanding circle. Just like a whirlwind, a gale springing up everywhere, she already appeared behind another star cultivator. There were no flashy or unnecessary movements whatsoever. A spear swept by. SFX, Puchi, 10, a dazzling white light blossomed in the air. In the sky, a beautiful arc streaked by, sweeping from this star cultivator's neck and away. A huge skull immediately lifted with the light, rolling towards the sky. From start to finish, unexpectedly, no blood appeared. The Arctic star spear's chilliness was increasingly deep, surprisingly already freezing over the wound when she cut, even blood did not have time to spray out. While the narration was very long, actually, not a moment's time had passed. Lin Yingmei's attack was just about to go off smoothly when indescribable form of ice and snow energy was already approaching her front. The others had no time to be amazed. Flying swords and magic energy discharged. When Lin Yingmei beheaded the third person, Song Jia also shouted loudly. The Vajra's evil smiting sword's light rays condensed a bit. Impressively, it was the yellow rank battle technique, Great Wisdom King Cleave. A biting cold, gold light like an auger, simply without any dodging movements like Lin Yingmei, resolutely crashed towards her. Lin Yingmei's hair danced in the air. Inconceivable snowflakes drifted around the girl's whole body. Suddenly, snowy waves violently rocked, and a snow wave fiercely flew, ice fragments radiating all around. Bang! The Arctic star spear chopped, and the cold light unexpectedly directly tore open the Great Wisdom King Cleave. Song Jia turned pale with fright. What kind of exaggeration was this? This moment, Lin Yingmei's Arctic star spear was like an extremely ice-cold weapon. The Grindstone Mountain's temperature wildly plummeted without explanation. Suddenly, snowflakes drifted over from the girl's vicinity. Seemingly like winter, Chen Zhonglin noticed every attack of Lin Chong became increasingly ice-cold, and the temperature would drop by a degree, along with this panther head appearing increasingly frightening. A sort of terrifying pressure was issued from Lin Yingmei. Chen Zhonglin quaked, his inner heart unexpectedly showing fear. So this was Maiden Mountain's 5 tiger generals. This is bad. Quickly kill Lin Chong. Tong Yao abruptly shrieked, both hands grasping the jade water turtle dragon trident. A powerful star energy was imbued into the spear, a dragon leaving the ocean. Song Jia also felt a crisis, her entire body shivering without end. She already lost her earlier icy arrogance, the Vajra's evil smiting sword light erupting. Every kind of gold, bright light shot out from the Devil's Star, her star crest entering the weapon like an unending river. Chen Zhonglin and Gong Su clearly sensed the two-star general's unease and fear. They also handled things at full strength, throwing out every kind of self-protective artifact. The remaining dozens of cultivators immediately launched an attack at Lin Chong, no longer with an artifact or a technique, just a direct slash. The cold light of Lin Yingmei's was all the more ice-cold, like it came from a deep freeze. This Lin Chong, just what is happening? Chen Zhonglin felt an ice-cold chill stab into his bones. Lin Chong is going to use her yellow rank spear technique, stop her. Tong Yao shouted loudly. The jade water turtle dragon trident rolled out a roaring tsunami, imposingly surging forward, a pinning pressure like the 5 sacred mountains rushed towards Lin Yingmei. The retreating star river churning clams yellow rank style, water dragon captures heaven, overflows the sea. The devil star giant in the clouds Song Jia also did not neglect, the Vajra's evil smiting sword's bright light condensed and split open the cold weather mist, appearing like a sharp, massive sword that shot towards Lin Yingmei. Great wisdom King Cleave. The 2-star general's 1-star heavenly weapons yellow rank styles could be rated as tyrannical, with power abundant enough to swallow the whole country. Lin Yingmei's attack had only just started, but it was a sudden start. Cold immediately flooded the entire space, the snow on the ground accumulating more and more because of the extremely deep cold made by the star energy at the spear tip. Also because of this extreme ice cold, large snowflakes were created, the seasons seeming to have reversed. The sounds of explosions arose with a bang. In the middle of the violent whirlwind, it collected into a frightful ice tornado. The space in a range of 100 zhang immediately was a vast expanse of white snow, it could be clearly seen that the temperature had been brought down to the bottom line. Everything before their eyes was shrouded by white, their ears crammed with a whistle. The flying swords had been shot down, and the 2 earthly stars styles were drawn into this blizzard, like dropping into a big, bottomless hole. Song Jia and the rest's faces had no color. Suddenly, there came a violent change. The star cultivators hurriedly retreated back, executing defensive maneuvers, fearing a sneak attack. An ice-cold figure similar to a millennium of black ice, the cold wind's devastation felt in the air, and Lin Yingmei's expression was cold, both her hands holding her spear. Stepping at a slow pace, in the middle of a violent storm of snow, she cut out a stunning and outstanding spear technique. Raising her spear, it carried from top to bottom an imposing power, seemingly splitting open the intact space. A world-shaking fracturing sound rang, and along with her spear's power, the ground immediately caved in. Ice crystals violently launched, snow waves splashed. The forest and the earth were jolted in a clamor, being pulled out by the roots. The enormous ice cold of the spear tip directly swept past, and this spear brought out a wide expanse of a storm. The star cultivators' defenses were instantly broken, their figures disappearing into the storm. Lin Yingmei's figure flashed, the spear's power sweeping open from front to back the sneak attacking Song Jia. The spear's cold neared an even more bone-chilling level. Within a crisp noise, the cold, crystal spear in Lin Yingmei's hand that looked like ice and snow abruptly transformed into points of sparkling, white light that shot into every direction. The person already viciously rushed out. The spear technique was continuous and unending, without end. The offensive was wild as swelling waters, and the torrential downpour was becoming increasingly fierce. A distance of several zhang was closed in a flash. The girl's speed reached a peak, and along with the inertia of a full sprint, the spear broke down in midair like a snowflake. It condensed again and promptly reappeared in her hand. This time, the attack target was Star Master Gong Su. Gong Su was a Star Master. Towards a star cultivator's attack, he had an extremely strong sensibility. Even if he could not resist from the front, to unexpectedly kill him was also not that simple. He hastily controlled his flying sword to block her. What actually ripped apart this brilliant white space was actually a tiny snowflake fragment. Under Lin Yingmei's deliberate acceleration, it possessed an awful destructive power. Every inch of space in the surroundings was intensively covered, such that the other star cultivators did not have the slightest chance to get away. Ding, 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 this sound was unending. Gong Su promptly embodied a nebula late stage's formidable combat power, the unsheathed flying sword like a viper. Quickly, he laid down a concentrated defensive net of light, under the accurate work of a slightly scorching chi flame. Unexpectedly, the effect of a shield was achieved. Those ice crystal fragments possessing awful kinetic energy were unable to have an effect, evaporating away in an instant. But Lin Chang's spear technique was far from being thought of as that simple. Master, leave quickly. Song Jia saw the danger. Lin Yingmei's spear already was like the sound of thunder. In the opponent's confusion, she promptly broke into the light net. She completely ignored the threat of the flying sword. A bloody light suddenly appeared. With a muffled grunt, Gong Su staggered backwards a few steps as if he was drunk off wine, violently twitching from head to toe. A great amount of blood bubbled out of his throat seemed to have been pierced. Gong Su covered his throat, stunned, an expression of disbelief on his face. Great wisdom King Cleave. Song Jia spat out a mouthful of blood, the golden sword light attempting to tear open the blizzard. However, the girl subsequently danced, her agility like a butterfly in a storm. Lifting the plum tea piece, at the same time, there was blood. She pointed to her next target, Chen Zhonglin. Master, quickly escape. Tong Yao was already deathly pale, the jade water turtle dragon trident resisting with all its might. At this moment, Lin Yingmei's spear power was completely revealed. Song Jia and Tong Yao advanced to attack with their full power, wanting to fight for a final thread of a chance, but that Arctic Star spear rotated incomparably strangely. The spear point would sweep, and there would be an expansive blizzard. A chop would be a biting, penetrating cold, and every attack would make the spear's temperature become even more frigid. The star crest on the girl's forehead was increasingly bright and pale. An unprecedented immense gale and blizzard enveloped the star cultivators under her spear power. No one could be spared, no one could escape. This was shockingly it. The majestic star's yellow rank spear technique. Long blizzard nights. 11. The violent blizzard finally subsided, and Lin Yingmei held the spear in one hand, standing straight. In the area of her attack, all star cultivators were met with a violent death. The devil star giant in the clouds Song Jia saw her heart had been run through. Her expression blank, the light in her eyes began to fade. Two people could not kill you. Tong Yao leaned on the jade water turtle dragon trident for support, her whole body audibly shuddering. Mortally wounded, the only reason why she had not died was that she relied on Chen Zhonglin's life-saving talisman, first seen like water talisman. 12. However, Chen Zhonglin was not as lucky as she. Fallen under Tong Yao's foot, it seemed his breath was cut short. Tong Yao frigidly laughed, kneeling down where she was. Immediately, her final speck of light also was lost. Go well. Lin Yingmei faintly said. The bodies of the ranked 72nd Devil Star Giant in the clouds Song Yuan, Song Jia, and the ranked 69th Retreating Star River Churning Clam Tong Meng, Tong Yao, turned into star fragments, floating into the void. In the sky, 2 crimson stars were used up, and 2 stars fell. Boom! Lin Yingmei still had not yet enough time to breathe, when suddenly, Grindstone Mountain was shook by an earthquake. A powerful pressure imposingly pressed down, hiding the sky and covering the earth. The exploding sound of rolling thunder. Not good. Master. Lin Yingmei hoisted her spear, lifted her head, and happened to spot Ancestor Baili breach Su Xing's defenses, and she immediately forged ahead. When the yellow rank spear technique, Long Blizzard Nights, was executed, it truly was a skill that would make others marvel. Lin Yingmei dispatched 2 star masters in a spurt of energy, and along with her ceasing of the spear technique, Grindstone Mountain's blizzard also calmed. But at this time, there was the ear-splitting sound of rolling thunder. Raising her head, what she saw was Ancestor Baili's blooming divine thunder flying sword happened to strike open Su Xing. The profound star barrier's spiritual energy defense vanished into thin air, and a blue water thunderclap several zhang thick came striking down. Ancestor Baili howled with laughter. According to his magic energy, it was sufficient to kill Su Xing dozens of times. Su Xing seemingly foresaw this, opening a heaven-concealing parasol against the wind and sheltering above Su Xing's head. A ball of light interweaved into a net, layer upon layer folding around him. The thunderclap loudly struck, struggling valiantly as more than a dozen layers of light net instantly crumbled. The heaven-concealing parasol was torn to shreds without the least bit of resistance, and it was at this time that 2 crimson lights fell from the heavens onto Su Xing. At the same time, the blooming water divine thunder struck Su Xing. With 2 rays of crimson light and the heaven-concealing parasol, a supercluster stage great cultivator's tyrannical blooming water divine thunder unexpectedly could not strike the killing blow on Su Xing. Everything seemed to have been planned, every single detail accounted for. Having received such a strike, Su Xing still violently coughed up a mouthful of blood, his internal organs seemingly on fire, his body's flesh and nerves aflame. Ancestor Baili coldly smiled and pointed with both hands. Several thunder lightning flowers floated in the air then plunged towards Su Xing. A cold light cut vertically, and the flowers drifted. Lin Yingmei had hurried in time. Ha, 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 ha. This truly is an outcome outside of this ancestor's expectations. Ancestor Baili floated in midair, more than a dozen blooming water divine thunders forming a flower appeared before their eyes. The petals opened and closed, taking in and sending out water lightning. Seeing Lin Yingmei exert a powerful air that was seemingly dissipating, currently, he was not worried. Grindstone Mountain at this moment suddenly dropped into winter, covered in ice and snow. The 2 sect's 100 disciples nearly had no survivors, and the sole one left alive was precisely that Ancestor Baili. This supercluster absolutely powerful cultivator did not have any sorrow whatsoever. On the contrary, he was even more savage and dripping with pride. As far as Ancestor Baili was concerned, this kind of situation was not necessarily an unlucky chance. This is perfect. If this ancestor exterminates 3-star generals, that Liangshan maiden wouldn't say anything, would she? Ancestor Baili slightly raised both his hands, the water lightning flower increasing sharply by several zhang. His absolute self-confidence originated from an absolute gap in their strength. Su Xing was only a nebula middle stage, what idea was this? His next rank was but galaxy, both sides spanning a realm. In the star cultivator's domain, this was not fatal, this was absolutely frightening. Regardless of what unexpected trickery a nebula cultivator used, that was fine. And a trump card, that was also fine. Ancestor Baili looked at it all as nothing, his sole worry the realm-crossing star general. Wiping out Lin Chong, this ancestor would be considered the number 1 person, able to enter the heavens would be merely so. Can't say for sure if this ancestor could even go see that Liangshan maiden. Ancestor Baili's eyes suddenly shot pure electricity, vigorously and wildly rising. A powerful pressure pressed down and intimidated Grindstone Mountain, the tremendous mountain shuddering for this reason. Even if you put this much effort into planning, what of it? Watch how this ancestor breaks you all, go! Ancestor Baili shouted. Several dozen thunder water flowers withered, imitating flying swords as they broke into the sky and shot forth. Su Xing raised the pure gold shield, both hands joined as he struck hand seals. A ball of water lightning flew out from his palm, the disparity with Ancestor Baili's was not generally large. An immense, deep hole was blasted out of the earth by the blooming water divine thunder. Su Xing's pure gold shield broke within a moment, only barely able to block the blooming water divine thunder, but having the panther head Lin Yingmei's protection, an Arctic star serpent spear swept across. However, Ancestor Baili's magic energy was excessively valiant, and Lin Yingmei and Su Xing both were beat back. "Don't mind this star," the knowledge star Wu Yong tenderly scolded. Several tens of whistling thunder fire bullets successively were loosed from Silver Blade. This seemingly an artifact yet not an artifact gunblade was used by Wu Xinjie actually very skillfully. Ancestor Baili was disdainful. Ever since after Wu Xinjie greatly broke the sword array, his divine intent continuously did not leave the opponent. When he saw her go save the thief star, he was not worried. The water-parting dragon-binding net was expected to give her no way out. Now seeing her shoot a dozen or so thunder fire bullets at him, Ancestor Baili lazily waved, and a ball of blue-green light leaked from his sleeve, transformed into a long river, and instantly broke the thunder fire bullets. "On what grounds do you all dare to be so impudent in front of this ancestor?" Ancestor Baili laughed loudly. "This servant knowledge star does dare. Old Taoist, accept death." The knowledge star Wu Xinjie's wrist turned over, and 100 talismans were thrown out. The talismans transformed midair into fire birds, the middle grade talisman, roasting bird talisman. Ancestor Baili first raised his flying sword to block Lin Chong, and then subsequently urged on his blooming water ability to break the talismans. "Knowledge star. There's some capital. This ancestor will take your sacrificial star first." Hearing Wu Xinjie defend her reputation, Ancestor Baili's eyes immediately revealed greed. The roasting bird talisman simply was incapable of resisting Ancestor Baili's grandeur. Wu Xinjie cried out in fear, her frightened face drained of color. Turning around, she ran. "Xinjie, look out!" The Su Xing and Lin Yingmei who were wrapped up by Ancestor Baili's flying sword anxiously cried out. How could Ancestor Baili let go of this golden opportunity to extinguish the knowledge star? His figure flit by, instantly chasing after Wu Xinjie's back, the wind whistling in a cacophony, his killing intent roaring. Ancestor Baili's palm raised a thunder light, slapping Wu Xinjie's back, "Die." His palm hurt, having received recoil. Her clothes were ripped open by a formless power, and on the inside unexpectedly was a golden thread weave, fish scale treasure armor. Shockingly, it was the golden thread fish scale armor. Originally General Tianwei's treasure armor, it broke 10,000 flying swords of cultivators while on his body. Now on Wu Xinjie's body, it was actually suitable for her. Ancestor Baili's fatal palm energy immediately was greatly dissolved. However, even if it was like this, Wu Xinjie still vomited a mouthful of blood, her whole body trembling. But just when Ancestor Baili prepared to grab Wu Xinjie's head, the girl suddenly turned around. He saw the star general that should have been scared out of her mind reveal a victorious and cunning smile. "You fell for it, old Taoist." A purple-colored talisman floated out. Within such a short distance, Ancestor Baili simply was unable to see it. The talisman flashed, then faded, sticking onto the ancestor's abdomen. He saw that talisman's carved script had some profound design, and when the talisman dispersed, a violet great array surged. A powerful pressure unexpectedly made Ancestor Baili incapable of budging. Immediately afterwards, a purple magic cloud was raised over his head. Seeing that magic cloud flash with lightning within, rolling thunder grandly shook. When the purple talisman came out, shockingly, the world changed color. 1,000 zhang purple flame, thunder and lightning rushed out from the magic circle, firmly trapping Ancestor Baili within. Impossible. Ancestor Baili was frightened enough that his face was white, promptly chaining together and striking hand seals. Several magic weapons, artifacts, everything flew out seemingly to ward off this terrible calamity. This talisman of the knowledge star Wu Xinjie was awe-inspiringly the supreme grade talisman, Heavenly Calamity Talisman. Boom! 100 bolts of thick violet-colored thunder and lightning struck down from the magic cloud. The large power unexpectedly cut down Grindstone Mountain a number of zhang. The purple light and frightening lightning could be seen as far as 1,000 li away. Taking advantage of this, Su Xing and Lin Yingmei promptly cut down the out-of-control divine intense flying sword, rushing to Wu Xinjie's side. Dealing with a supercluster cultivator could only happen by relying on the kind of supreme-grade talisman that was the divine punishment talisman. Otherwise, they were simply incapable of shaking him up the slightest. The violet thunder and lightning disappeared, and the weather was once again sunny and cloudless. The smoke and dust dispersed away, slowly revealing a battered and exhausted shadow. Su Xing and the others' hearts sunk. Sure enough, a supercluster cultivator was valiant. The supreme-grade talisman, the heavenly Calamity talisman, was surprisingly unable to deal with him. The Battle of Grindstone Mountain seemed very dangerous, but all the developments finished within the Knowledge Star, the resourceful star, Wu Yong's expectations, from the very beginning when Su Xing used divine intent to break the 100 Disciples' sword array, to Lin Yingmei's long blizzard nights, that cut down 2 star masters and dropped the power of 2 crimson stars onto Su Xing to block the imminent peril of the blooming water divine thunder, to even when she announced her own identity to lure ancestor Baili to chase and kill her, using the golden thread fish scale armor to escape a calamity, then using the heavenly Calamity talisman after for a quick kill. This series of plans could even be said to be clever to the highest peak. The 100 cultivators' ambush here in this trap was cleanly swept through, pulled out by the roots. Especially the heavenly Calamity talisman, this supreme-grade talisman was sufficient to rapidly dispatch a supercluster early-stage cultivator. This was also why when they found out Shi Qian had been captured, Su Xing went to save her. Wu Xinjie did not have a reason to oppose. But Wu Xinjie still underestimated Ancestor Baili's strength. Ancestor Baili was battered and exhausted, his entire body's flesh lacerated from the ordeal, bruised all over, relying on his own mastery over the blooming water divine thunder and a few magic weapons to protect himself, barely surviving from under the heavenly Calamity talisman. Wu Xinjie's face this time genuinely turned white, not expecting him to not perish under the heavenly Calamity. However, the Knowledge Star's attack definitely was not ineffective. Although he had escaped a disaster, Ancestor Baili's cultivation was violently subdued, his vitality greatly debilitated. No more did he have the extremely angry and imposing super strength from before. A pale and colorless face twisted with a look brimming with fury. After all, it was a supreme-grade charm, not being scattered ashes and smoke was considered very lucky. Ancestor Baili roared, 18 watercolored flying swords flew out of his mouth. The flying sword's light was dim, his acute spirit greatly diminished, but it was still sharp. This happened to be the blooming water sword sect's famous sword art ability. The 18 flying swords twisted for the kill towards the Knowledge Star. Wu Xinjie swiftly retreated, a copper chain flying out, but it immediately was cut down by the flying sword. A cold light was directly launched, crisscrossing with the sword as it twisted towards the Knowledge Star's neck. At the critical moment, Lin Yingmei dropped from the sky, waving her spear and blocking the flying sword. Die! Ancestor Baili was thoroughly mad, chaining together seals, piecing together his last magic energy as the 18 flying swords violently attacked towards Lin Yingmei. At this moment, the 2 girls were somewhat too spent. Su Xing no longer hesitated. Stabilizing the boiling qi and blood in his body, he shouted, a rainbow shadow flying out of his astral bag. That rainbow shadow was the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief, and it drastically grew by several zhang, suspended above Ancestor Baili's head. Ancestor Baili was a veteran of 100 battles, his reactions swift, knowing that the circumstances had a change. At once, he emitted a ball of protective green light, wrapping himself within. The green light was extremely thick, the entire body of the figure 3 zhang within could not be clearly seen. 3 flowers the size of wicker baskets revolved over his head, a sweet scent dispersing forth. When Ancestor Baili controlled the flying sword, he could only use all his power to mobilize a protection magic from a sage art. At the moment Ancestor Baili activated the protection magic, the magical fire cloud handkerchief's rotation sped up and formed into a scarlet-red cloud. Together with the surrounding air, it all became a thick, blood-red color. Flipping and rolling, waves of bloody strips, heaven and earth was enshrouded within that dazzling blood red. The red cloud surreptitiously rolled a bloody flame, that blood cloud and blood waves rapidly spun with an oppressive rumbling sound. A giant, dark red flame dropped towards Ancestor Baili. This fire rain's range was enormous, enveloping the area of 100 meters surrounding Ancestor Baili within it, making escape impossible. The fire cloud dropped with a rumble, and Ancestor Baili's magic just happened to complete, the timing unexpectedly not lacking even by 100th. Such an insignificant artifact and you dare show it. Ancestor Baili very fiercely bellowed. Although those 3 flowers the size of baskets revolved at a great speed, they swept away much of the blaze, but these flames dropped in succession, unstoppable. These dark red flames were like maggots attached to bones, crawling all over Ancestor Baili's green barrier. This is magical fire. Ancestor Baili immediately discerned the difference of these flames. Originally, the green light was dazzling, and the flowers that had not been touched by a drop of impurity would flash a scorched color when dripped by the magical fire. Their revolution speed greatly slowed, and in a split second, dark red flames by the hundreds and thousands changed, transforming the flowers into black-colored charcoal. Bang! The flowers ceased rotating, exploding open, mixing together with the flames. Without the resistance of the flowers, the magical cloud fire sea rushed into the thick green light simply as if it was a room with no one in it. Although the green light was thick like it had substance, actually Ancestor Baili had used a few magics from the 5 spirits' heavenly book, urging the spirit chi of the world around him and combining it with his own blooming water divine thunder to form a protective screen. This was specifically for use to guard against flying swords and magic weapon attacks. He was not one of the 3 ancestral masters of the blooming water sword sect for nothing. Even if he had received the heavenly Calamity Talisman strike, his vitality greatly harmed, his remaining magic power was still formidable. This was the power of a supercluster cultivator, the gap between them was actually too great. However, this grindstone mountain was destined to become the place that Ancestor Baili buried his bones. The magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief was not a simple artifact, and she unceasingly sucked Su Xing's star energy, acting as replenishment for the magical cloud fire sea. Using the words Gong Kai Wei said before, the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief was even more like a strange and unusual magic tool. Perhaps because it was this kind of rarely seen magic weapon that the deviant star the red-haired devil would originally sign a contract with Sun Hua. Because, to the blaze refining saber, this magical fire really was a delicious treat. Su Xing swung both his hands, spitting up a mouthful of essence blood. That essence blood became a vortex in mid-air that swirled and condensed. In a flash, it turned into a broadsword with 9 interlocking red rings and the face of a demon from purgatory itself. This was the blaze refining 9 hell saber. Warmly nurtured inside Su Xing's star crest for a long time, this was still the first time Su Xing had brought it out. That blaze refining saber seemingly was a monster in high spirits, issuing a hoarse and crisp cry. 9 crimson lights struck upon the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief. The dark red magical fire imposingly and violently swelled, turning into something akin a torrential downpour that reached the heavens. In a split second, the skies were murky over a dark earth. Ah! The thick green light obstructed this frightening sea of fire no more, and Ancestor Baili let out an angry howl. It seemed he had received a strike that was not light. It's the 9 hells magic flame, too, you mage, and another miserable shriek. Ancestor Baili did not care one bit for his status as a sect's great scholar as he loudly screamed. However, the 9 hells magic flame that the blaze refining saber and the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief mutually created was truly terrifying, burning demons under heaven, a vital energy dark technique. 3. Ordinary magics were hard to contend against. If Su Xing did not originally unexpectedly rush forward and kill Sun Hua in one step, should he have waited until he used the magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief to form the nine hells magic flame, then he and Lin Yingmei would have perished without doubt. Ancestor Baili relied on the past 200 years of simple and refined magic energy in addition to the blooming water divine thunder that had been refined more than 10 times. It had some use in stopping magic-type techniques, else he would have already become ashes. Su Xing looked at the Ancestor Baili below him wrapped up by magic flames, and his face was also pale. His 7 apertures all faintly flowed with traces of blood. As expected, a supercluster cultivator could not be covered. In addition to the heavenly Calamity Talisman, the long and warmly nourished Nine Hells magic flame both were unable to kill him. These days, the people who could reach him were few. Su Xing raised high above his head the blaze refining saber. Loudly roaring, he cut down towards the Ancestor Baili wrapped in the sea of flames. Hacking the demon saber down, the area then was already not the area it began as. Su Xing's heart was like steel, with all of his killing intent, all of his essence, qi and spirit slashed down together with this blade. The 9 rings on the blade let out a burning sound like drinking blood, and an area of 100 li around Grindstone Mountain was enveloped with a blood red, a miserable evil wind, and loud, mournful cries. The 2 girls, Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei, retreated at once to Shi Qian's front, the 2-star energy wildly shot out and formed a protective barrier. Su Xing cut forth with the sword, and Ancestor Baili's 18 blooming water flying swords promptly intertwined to block. In this sea of flame world, an entirely different light appeared. The originally snowy scene Lin Yingmei made was melted in the blink of an eye, and the blaze refining saber launched a chain of 9 darkly colored flames. The flames interlocked in a flash and melted the 18 attacking flying swords. When the saber was swung down, the demon fire chain soared and attacked Ancestor Baili. This was that 9 consecutive hellfire demonic slash. Ancestor Baili's full body robe unbearably broke open from head to toe, his body just like a sieve, filled with holes, bleeding without end. Another grievous appearance, and his arms had already exploded apart. This ancestor and you all cannot exist together. Ancestor Baili was truly too tenacious. The heavenly Calamity Talisman, blaze refining saber, 9 hells magic flame, 9 consecutive hellfire demonic slash, Su Xing nearly exhausted all of his star energy, and Ancestor Baili was not yet ash. However, he seemed unable to endure any further. Ancestor Baili's stance fled, wanting to escape. According to a super cluster stage cultivator's fully employed escape technique, he probably could flee outside of 1,000 li in the blink of an eye. If they let him escape, it inevitably would cause trouble of no end. Only with great difficulty did they finally manage to put Ancestor Baili on his last legs. How could Su Xing let him have his wish? Loudly shouting, the magic sealing sword was assigned its use. The sword transformed without a shadow, and Ancestor Baili's escape technique had not yet executed when it was broken by 10,000 sword shadows. The ancestor was overwhelmed with shock, and he abandoned all hope. And in this split second of an obstruction, Lin Yingmei changed into a graceful whirlwind that shot forth. The Arctic Star Spear did not have any obstructions at all, running straight through Ancestor Baili. The spear tip circulated a cold wind, smashing apart his internal organs. Ancestor Baili screamed, Aya, seemingly not resigned to unexpectedly die at the hands of a puny nebula cultivator. Thereupon, the spear edge slashed apart the ancestor's body, a shadow flying out of Ancestor Baili's forehead. Shockingly, it was a great star cultivator's refined essence soul. 5, however, this kind of soul mostly became malicious spirits because of resentment. Su Xing definitely did not want a malicious ghost plaguing him, and pointing his hand, the already prepared ghost pearl flew out and sucked that spirit into itself. The pearl dimly flashed like colored glass, fully trembling a moment, seemingly endlessly satisfied by the replenishment of a great star cultivator's spirit. The pearl dimmed, seemingly even more black by a tad. Wu Xinjie already said before, until this ghost pearl became pitch black like ink, then it unlocked its ghost path ability, which seemingly was not far away. Su Xing coldly smiled. All of a sudden, he felt as if all the air inside of his body was drawn out. The magical fire cloud fragrant handkerchief had devoured all of his star energy and flew back into his astral bag. The blaze refining saber also was seemingly covered in dust and bleakly turned into a ball of essence blood that scattered. Su Xing went limp and fell over. Lin Yingmei was just about to step forward to catch Su Xing, but at this moment, an even quicker figure swept past, embracing Su Xing upon her bosom. Su Xing. She was the thief star flea on a drum Yuan. This moment, Yuan looked into Su Xing's eyes very complicatedly. She tightly bit her lip. I've never seen a star master with your kind of stupidity, Qian forcefully smiled. Speaking of your savior like this, it's not so good, is it? Shouldn't soap operas have an emotional, hot kiss? Su Xing grabbed Qian's shoulder, teasing her. What a soap opera was, Qian did not know, but at this very moment, she indeed wanted to do as much. Thus, Yuan, in front of Su Xing's two women, disregarded everything and kissed him. Glistening teardrops fell and withered in the wind. From this moment forward, she was this man's star general. The forehead of the Yuan kissing Su Xing suddenly twinkled with a brown light. This light was just as if someone had used a knife to draw a portrait stroke by stroke, the strokes vivid and powerful. Entering his bones, at the same time, Su Xing felt his forehead burn with a fiery pain. The Su Xing who originally already had been exhausted of strength in a split second felt a fantastic power cram into his body. A crimson star glittered in the sky. The kiss finished, Yuan's big eyes opened slightly, covering her mouth as she looked at the star crest of Su Xing's forehead. Inconceivably, she unexpectedly signed a contract. To the side, Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei were dumb as wooden chickens. Kiss contract? The knowledge star said in a low voice, disbelieving. She had only heard of a star master's kiss contract, she had never heard of a star maiden initiating the star cultivator's kiss contract, and this time, it greatly toppled Wu Xinjie's understanding towards contracts. 2. Lin Yingmei cast an indefinitely bewildered glance towards the resourceful star. Su Xing, who had signed on his third star general, had surpassed all others before and since in Liangshan. Just what was going on? Fortune and misfortune lead to each other, wipe your eyes and wait. 3. Wu Xinjie lightly waved her feather fan, slightly smiling. It seems our master has revised the Maiden Mountain structure. Have you two signed a contract? Su Xing touched his feverish forehead, perplexed. He naturally did not know how irregular of a matter it was for he to sign a third star general. With regards to this guest in Liangshan, genuine shock was far from as grand and magnificent as 3-star maidens, and another expansion of his star energy made him but pleasantly surprised. This young lady, the thief star flea on a drum Qian, from this day forth, is Su Xing's woman. Yuan said bashfully. Hearing this seemingly familiar declaration, Su Xing for a moment did not know what expression he should have had. We had better leave quickly. This has already attracted the attention of many people. The knowledge star knew now was not the time to heave a sigh. Grindstone Mountain's extraordinary image was continuous, spreading to 1,000 li, and in addition to the fall of 2 crimson stars, perhaps now already attracted were great quantities of star cultivators, star masters, and schools all rushing towards this place. If they still did not leave, in case they were encircled, given the current state of everyone, everything pointed to disaster. Su Xing nodded and arranged his things. There was no time to lose. The 3-star maidens glanced at one another, flashing into the star nest with good coordination. His ocean of consciousness swelled, and Su Xing felt his divine intent once again expand several sizes. Then, he hastily rushed towards the bottom of the mountain. If the knowledge star's expectations were true. 10 minutes later, dozens of escape lights arrived at Grindstone Mountain in succession. They wore blue robes, their feet planted on blue water flying swords. 5. It was the Blooming Water Sword Sect's headmaster as well as 4 protectors and 12 hall masters. When they saw the falling star from the main hall, the Taoist Luo River had even believed the ancestral master already achieved the objective, and thus was secretly delighted. Originally, when he found out that Ancestor Baili personally appeared, he thought that victory was already at hand. A supercluster stage cultivator was top quality in the Azure Dragon territory, broadly speaking. Even if Lin Chang's Star Master was only Nebula stage, how could he possibly be an opponent? But soon after the Purple Thunder Heavenly Calamity, the magic fireworks sea immediately made this Blooming Water Sword Sect headmaster's complexion change greatly. That entirely was not a Blooming Water Sword Sect power, and in his impressions, the Ancestral Master also did not have this kind of magic. Thus, he awakened the 12 hall masters and the 4 protectors to rush over on their flying swords. However, they were a step too late. Reflected in their eyes was something like an azura, and the wretched sight of the desolation of trauma filled their eyes. Half of the place was cold and icy to the bone like the extreme north. Half was burnt by flame and choking as if they had reached the underworld of purgatory. As far as the eye could see, there were the bodies of both schools' 100 disciples. The protectors and hall masters grieved, crying out loud and heartbroken, the sound shaking 100 li. 6. How could this be? Liangshan said, trembling. It was still the Taoist Luo River that was the most calm. He shouted, quickly go look for the ancestor. A moment after, a hall master discovered Chen Zhonglin's corpse in addition to Ancestor Baili's remaining adornments. One act of a liver and guts cut to pieces. 7. Fact was placed before them. Immediately, several cultivators nearly fainted. Impossible, how could the ancestral master? Liangshan was dumbfounded. This result was something they did not anticipate in any event. The ambush by 100 disciples guided by the Grand Azure Dragon Territory's front-ranking cultivator was unexpectedly completely extinguished. Who would believe this if they spoke of it? For the sake of the ancestral master's revenge, we must slaughter Lin Chong. Every cultivator was extremely furious. This was the heaviest price the Blooming Water Sword Sect had paid since its founding. Everyone currently wished for the aftermath of their killing to quickly arrive. Headmaster. The Taoist Luo River's face was enveloped with cold frost. For today's disgrace, this sect and Lin Chang's Star Master cannot coexist together. Liangshan and the other hall masters, hear my orders. Subordinates present. The cultivators were solemn. Immediately send out the Alliance of 10 kill warrant. 8. Have the Alliance of 10 smother Lin Chong. The Taoist Luo River's voice was frigid. The Alliance of 10 kill warrant was the Azure Dragon Territory's 10 great schools. Once it was issued, it signified that the other 9 great sects necessarily had to kindly provide their assistance. However, with this much on one hand, everything that occurred on Grindstone Mountain inevitably would be known by the other sections. Although this matter would become a disgrace upon the Blooming Water Sword Sect, at this very moment, it was already not the time for face. Even the ancestral master was dead, so it was obvious how frightening Lin Chong was. The Taoist Luo River would not brave this danger. Shall we inquire with the ancestral master? Liangshan asked. The Taoist Luo River muttered to himself, I shall personally report to the ancestral master. Gazing towards that Grindstone Mountain, the Taoist Luo River looked fierce. This Taoist will make Lin Chong in the Azure Dragon Territory have no place to stand, unable to move a single step. Everyone of the Blooming Water Sword Sect at Grindstone Mountain searched the surrounding 100 li for ages, and only after they buried the disciples' bodies did they unwillingly leave. They had not left for long, when the group including the Taoist Luo River did not discover a white cloud in the 100 li above Grindstone Mountain slowly separate. An exceedingly refined girl sat upon this mist, carrying a trace of a profoundly mysterious smile as she leisurely departed. 9. Just at the time of the Blooming Water Sword Sect shook, everywhere in the Azure Dragon territory and the Vermilion Bird territory simultaneously shook because of the crimson fall of 2 stars and the rising of another crimson star. Only 3 years had passed since the start of the star duels, and according to what was recorded in the past, the very first 4 or 5 years was the time star generals hid their strengths and bided their time. The majority of star masters were unlikely to truly be irreconcilable adversaries, even if they met. Nowadays, this split-second fall of 2 stars was considered rarely seen, especially with the raising of another. As long as a person had even a bit of brain, they would also feel this was a dangerous sign. The alliance of 10 chase to kill warrant was transmitted down immediately. The Lin Chong that signed a contract alarmed the entire Azure Dragon territory, and Lin Chong's master was one who made his name in war. The 10 great allied schools and the 100 great schools all without exception established an oath to smother the majestic star. In a while, Grindstone Mountain's paired star fall had been fervently blown up into many problems and troubles, becoming the topic every cultivator leisurely chatted about. To increasingly distort the truth, Grindstone Mountain's paired star fall, 10, was more and more exaggerated. Su Xing was portrayed as a being with formidable powers, an ugly monster that used some shameful method to dominate Lin Chong. His cultivation was extremely strange, opening some kind of mysterious halo. When he killed the Blooming Water Sword Sect's ancestor, 1, Summon Purple Thunder Heavenly Calamity, spur on 9 Underworld Magic Flame, 11, later and the Supercluster Cultivator was tyrannically and simply killed. This method and power could be rated as very frightening, just like its terrible name could be compared with the demonic head of those days. Due to not knowing the name of Lin Chong's master, everyone dubbed him this nickname for him, Purple Thunder Monster. 12. However, how could Su Xing know at this time of these gossipy scandals? Traversing over land and sea, recuperating for many days, did he finally return to Heavenly Water City. Entering inside the city, Su Xing discovered people everywhere were discussing the Purple Thunder Monster incident. Inquisitively listening briefly about this matter, he found this monster was truly ferocious. It extinguished 100 galaxy cultivators at once in a single move, and he also heard it could get rid of several star generals in a flash. Seeing those people turn pale at the mention of a tiger, yet having a longing and admiring expression, Su Xing said to himself, "Strange, just what day was this that would turn out a frightening monster as this? Xinjie, have you heard of what the cause was behind this Purple Thunder monster?" Su Xing asked. Hearing from these people's words, this monster made the Azure Dragon territory's 10 great sects issue a kill warrant, truly something extraordinary. The Knowledge Star thought for a long time and still could not figure anything out. "I have heard of the Heavenly Yin monster, however this is really strange. Listening to their description, it is somewhat familiar." Wu Xinjie gloomily could not think up of anything. Could it be those different tribes of devil schools, the Vermilion Bird territory or the Black Turtle territory, are again preparing to assault the Azure Dragon territory? Yuan eagerly suggested, her excited voice seemed to have been anticipating this for a long time. "Impossible. In short, just be careful." Su Xing wrinkled his brow, looking all around. His alert manner made the girls puzzled. "Su Xing, what's going on?" Yuan asked. Even if she had signed a contract, she still liked to directly call out Su Xing's name. However, these 2 words, Su Xing, were very sweet, making Wu Xinjie quite jealous. "I feel that after we entered the city, lots of people are paying attention to me." After Yuan became his star general, Su Xing's current divine sight was considerably keen. Even though he had not practiced any sort of martial art pertaining to the exercise of divine sight, his pure divine intent as before was in the same realm, lofty and outstanding. The ill gazes of several visitors were somewhat sharp. Su Xing already painstakingly used a qi hiding art when he entered the city, but he did not expect he would still be locked onto. Might as well mention, every star general possessed her own unique abilities. After Star Masters signed a contract, they would share in the Star General's star energy and a few of her abilities. The thief star Shi Yuan's ability was hide qi, and even if Su Xing did not use the oneness of heaven and man, the hide qi's capabilities were also very good. Be careful, the blooming water sword sect definitely will go mad. If they issued an alliance of 10 kill warrant, then that will not be easy to manage. Wu Xinjie suddenly recalled something, saying so seriously. Alliance of 10 kill warrant? Su Xing was just not that interested when he heard this name. Su Xing carefully hid towards the efficacious star's residence. On the road, Wu Xinjie briefly introduced the usage of this alliance of 10 kill warrant. The so-called alliance of 10 naturally was the 10 schools of 1 clear, 2 halls, 3 palaces, and 4 sword sections. Previously the devil cult tribes spied on Azure Dragon Territory's resources and several times launched star cultivator wars. The Azure Dragon Territory once was in a crisis for a time, and the current Heavenly Spirit Holy Master, too, established this alliance of 10. By means of these 10 great sects as heads, more than 100 schools were administered, forming an integral whole joined in opposition against the invading tribes. Ordinarily, if this alliance of 10 kill warrant was transmitted down, the other allies necessarily had to fulfill their obligation to chase to kill. It can't be. Chase to kill. Shi Yuan was speechless. Although the 10 great sects harbor ulterior motives nowadays, if they really issue an alliance of 10 kill warrant, that will be more troublesome. Wu Xinjie muttered to herself. Even if the other factions disregarded it, they would at least inform the Blooming Water Sword sect as a special favor. It's a bit thorny. Su Xing did not hope to get rid of 100 disciples from the 4 great sword sects. Meticulously nurtured Star Master and a supercluster Ancestral Master was unlike anything that had happened before. A supercluster cultivator's death definitely would make the Blooming Water Sword sect violently change. Even if it really issued one, it was an unworthy accident. Thinking to hear, Su Xing added even more caution and speed to his pace. When he reached the residence, he entered from the back. The one who opened the door was Suan. Seeing Su Xing, her eyes right away brimmed with tears, and she restrained her excitement. "Big brother, quickly come in." Locking the door, Suan led Su Xing to a private room. "Is little sister Shi Yuan all right?" Suan was nervous and restless. She both did not want to see something happen to Su Xing and did not want something to have happened to Shi Yuan, but seeing Su Xing return alone, the efficacious star divine physician had an ominous premonition. "Thanks, sister, for your concern. I am exceedingly fine." Several lights flashed forth, and 3 maidens appeared in succession at Su Xing's side. "Ah," Suan covered her mouth, amazed as she pointed at the thief star that fantastically emerged from the star nest. The thief star hugged Su Xing's arm, intimately saying, "Suan, introducing this servant's master to make your acquaintance, big brother Su Xing, you contracted Shi Yuan?" Suan very quickly regained her calm. Wu Xinjie secretly admired how quickly she could calm down. If it was someone else who was aware that Su Xing contracted 3 star maidens, perhaps there would be a moment of first-rate blankness. Su Xing nodded. "Congratulations, big brother Su Xing, congratulations, little sister Shi Yuan." Suan smiled, her eyes slightly holding a trace of envy. "Big brother definitely is very tired. Suan shall go help big brother. Elder sister and little sister, please bring a few pills over. I've really troubled you some." Su Xing was sorry. Grindstone Mountain's battle made the 3 wasted and exhausted, recuperating for several days. They still had not recovered. Currently, thinking of that supercluster cultivator brought bits of lingering fear. If it was not for relying on the Knowledge Star's Heavenly Calamity Talisman, that truly was difficult to say. Shi Yuan deeply was aware that Su Xing went to save her facing an unbelievable risk. In her heart, she was filled with sweet happiness and was moved. Her gaze towards Su Xing was indeed full of tender feelings, but it was difficult for her to express that. Lin Yingmei very helplessly sighed towards these 2 sisters. Master's virgin body seemed to be anything but reassured. Right, quickly look at what harvest we had. Yuan excitedly rubbed her fists and wiped her palms. As an accomplished robber, she treated the spoils of war with quite the expectations at any moment. Su Xing threw out several astral bags. Battling at Grindstone Mountain, Su Xing lost the pure gold shield, the heaven-concealing parasol, more than 50 thunder fire bullets, and the star energy of the blaze refining saber that had been warmly nurtured for a long time was completely exhausted. 3. Of course, these were tolerable. The most regretful perhaps was the knowledge star Wu Yong's life-saving talisman, Heavenly Calamity Talisman. This supreme-grade talisman's value naturally did not need more mentioning, just the power to rapidly dispatch a galaxy cultivator was enough to intimidate Liangshan continent. What a pity the soul copy would be used up just like that. Wu Xinjie actually was not that distressed. Compared to Su Xing's safety, never mind that it was the Heavenly Calamity Talisman, even if it was the heaven-concealing star feather fan that was tossed, it was only but so. Compared to their losses, laying out the gains this time would make anyone stupefied. The pile of things from the several astral bags included knives, forks, swords and halberds, jade, stones and pearls, letters and books, long banners and prayer flags, as well as a large amount of rare and colorful talismans, mechanisms and materials. More than a dozen black bronze flasks of all sizes faintly emitted a medical fragrance. Further, there was a top-quality crystal carved and chiseled to completion. A large bottle more than 1 che high, sealing charms added to its top, was filled on the inside with a few fantastic spirits, illuminating the inside of the bottle like fireflies. It's a soul-sealing bottle. 5. Yuan's eyes lit up. The soul-sealing bottle, the special bottle that the Divine Machine clan used when it manufactured mechanical beasts, and it could urge spirits to be enclosed within the bottle. Yuan manufactured mechanisms, and she happened to wonder about what to do with those spirits. Now, this soul-sealing bottle was truly a great help. Worthy of being called the Thousand Machine Gang's Star Master, it seemed the sect cultivated Gong Su without sparing anything. Other than this, Yuan also found a soul wug. 6. Putting all the souls into the wug could make these souls mutually devour one another to advance them to a higher rank soul. The Divine Machine clan in those years exploited soul wugs to manufacture powerful energy sources for commander mechanical beasts. 7. Otherwise, how could legends say a 10th rank commander soul wug, 8, could be found by the Divine Machine clan? However, this soul wug seemed to be somewhat coarse. It was a basic grade magic tool, in the end manufacturing 4th grade souls. With the material to manufacture, the souls and such naturally could not do without exercising the divine intent great technique of controlling mechanical beasts. Powerful divine intent happened to be the Divine Machine clan's greatest characteristic. Relying on these powerful divine intents could they order about countless inconceivable and magical mechanisms and large objects. The spread intent divine art, 9, Gong Su brought also was considered not bad. Besides Gong Su's, Chen Zhonglin's items were also not few. The Blooming Water Sword sect had even more fame than the Thousand Machine Gang, rich and overbearing. Inside his astral bag, they found 20 liang of relic blade sand. It seems it was ancestor Baili that specially procured this for Chen Zhonglin's star general to refine. It was just that the second refinement that needed 40 liang did not refine in time, and that shortage of 20 liang was currently inside Su Xing's pocket. Water turned to sword art, 10, Blooming Water Divine Thunder True Technique Chant, 11, and such, as well as the artifacts actually were far more impressive than Gong Su's. Just a galaxy artifact Blood Ran pot was enough to make up for Su Xing's artifact losses. Finally, everyone's line of sight all went towards Ancestor Bailey's things. A supercluster cultivator evidently made them even more inquisitive, and how could the things carried on the body of the nearly peak cultivator in the Azure Dragon territory be inferior? Just the assorted sizes of black bronze vials of medicines was more than a dozen bottles. 45 blooming water cultivating origin pills was sufficient to let Su Xing's blooming water divine thunder to progress like it was flying. Inside the heavenly Calamity Talisman, Ancestor Baili wasted away nearly all of his artifacts and magic weapons to resist the heavenly Calamity. Only a 9 Dragons Ice Seal painting and a Galaxy Supreme Grade Artifact Water Parting Dragon Binding Net were left. Other than this, Ancestor Baili had hoarded some of many rarely seen materials. 2 dark red 6-petal little grass, its leaves had a dark-colored heart symbol linking its 6 leaves into a single whole, mutually shining, faintly emitting a sort of fantastic reaction. A stalk of verdant and succulent bamboo sparkled like jade, with pure and magnificent light. Its interior was like jadeite, dark green-colored glass, and the bamboo emitted a clear and charming air, seeping into the soul. Smelling this was incomparably soothing, more profound than a panacea. "Do you recognize this?" Su Xing asked. The 3 girls all shook their heads. They were not adept at crystal and stone materials. Wait for little sis Suan to come and then ask her. She's the divine physician, and will be the most expert towards this. Wu Xinjie said. It really serves them right. Sure, Yuan hummed. The future will still be more worrisome. The blooming water sword sect will not be prepared to let this go. Wu Xinjie said. Stealing the blooming water divine thunder true technique was considered unwise, and originally losing it was but so. She had never thought it would draw the blooming water sword sect's counterattack, only naturally because of a 5 spirits law heavenly book. The knowledge star was not at all regretful, and even if she was given a second opportunity to choose, the outcome would still be this way. This jade strip, Lin Yingmei suddenly let out a bewildered voice. Upon her emotionless face, she revealed a rare trace of astonishment. What's the matter? Is something inside? Su Xing asked, smiling. Lin Yingmei lifted her head and looked at her master. This was the first time she had a kind of startled expression of being shocked. Master, you take a look. She threw the jade strip over. The majestic star pursed her lips, somewhat carrying a trace of pity. This cultivator perhaps died but will not close his eyes. Su Xing was indeed inquisitive about the contents inside that jade strip that could make the cool Lin Yingmei slightly regretful. Taking the jade strip and examining it, reflected into his mind were 9 flamboyant ancient characters. Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements Sword. Hearing this rather extraordinary name, it must be known that Heavenly Spirit, Earthly Fiend, Purple Star were the levels of grades for astral treasures. To dub these all at once onto the sword, clearly this was very interesting. Su Xing proceeded to explore it, and his expression changed. The exaggeration of the interior of the jade strip far exceeded his expectations. The jade strip recorded a short, immemorial sword chart, and this sword chart was very interesting. The first half was not sword arts or powers but rather an excessively lengthy segment introducing material pertaining to training the sword. Recorded inside was every sort of as yet unheard of forging materials. Altogether it was split into 9 chapters of solar, lunar, astral, draconic, metallic, wooden, aquatic, flame and earthen. 2. For example, the metallic chapters sword forging materials, the 9th rank heaven tearing gold dragons, 3. Golden dragon scales as a sword bone and transforming dragon saliva as a supplementary material. Secondly, there were also other materials. In brief, the metallic chapter's sword forging simply was a super magic weapon. After Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan finished reading, they were also stupefied. Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 Elements Sword, unexpectedly, it's an immemorial sword art. That old Taoist actually could get this sort of thing. Wu Xinjie clicked her tongue. This is an immemorial sword art? Su Xing asked, surprised. Each of the sword forging materials of the 9 chapters were unique, any one of them enough to shock Liangshan continent. In addition, This manner of sword unexpectedly was not a stand-alone, rather it was a sword art linked together, actually making Su Xing not dare to believe. Wu Xinjie nodded. The heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword in Liangshan continent was one of the well-known supreme-grade immemorial sword arts. The sword altogether was divided into the 9 varieties of molds: solar, lunar, astral, draconic, metallic, wooden, aquatic, flame and earthen. Each type had a most outstanding supreme-grade forging material, and every type altogether had 12 handles. With 9 types, it just happened to be 108 swords. Legends said the cultivator that could refine a heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword could turn the 5 elements upside down, reverse heaven and earth, and rampage through Liangshan. Su Xing did not doubt this point. On the basis of every sword's material brought out alone, it could raise frightening skies and stormy seas. Turn the 5 elements upside down. Sure, Yuan was moved. Every person in Liangshan continent possessed a unique 5 elements constitution. The 5 elements supported or suppressed one another, often with a result that caught people off guard. What arbitrarily turning the 5 elements upside down signified went without saying. Such a great influence. Su Xing was in awe and slightly sympathetic to ancestor Baili. The heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword was very famous in Liangshan. Things pertaining to it circulated widely, however, because the requirements to forge this divine weapon were too harsh. Every kind of sword material all were extremely unique, rarely seen, and even somewhat never before seen, whether it be 1 or 10, only by creating the 108 could the power of the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword be realized, and that was enough to make cultivators hope and timidly step forward. This kind of immemorial remnant sword art in the Azure Dragon territory was even more like an exceedingly distant legend. Ancestor Baili was a supercluster cultivator. As a top-ranking cultivator in the Azure Dragon territory as well as a large sect's ancestral master, having this type of immemorial sword art's secret recipe was not strange. Has no one ever forged it? Su Xing felt this was pitiful. Su Xing, it will do for you to forge it. Ha, you have we 3 sisters, which Liangshan has never had. The thief star Sure Yuan giggled. The harder something was, the more she wanted to challenge it. Seeing the materials listed, Su Xing currently did not have any strength to make a vain attempt. However, Sure Yuan had a phrase that resonated deeply with Su Xing. As far as Su Xing was concerned, challenging the limits was actually nothing out of the ordinary for him. Not long after, Yuan entered the room bringing a few self-made pills, also conveniently sparing no effort in fully using the spiritual aura distribution to replenish everyone's vitality. Su Xing then asked her about a few of Ancestor Baili's materials. As expected, Yuan was worthy of being called the efficacious star, the divine physician. Panaceas and grasses of all kinds, not unaware of any, seeing that red petal, Yuan went blank. Life-bound heart flower. The life-bound heart flower was a strange flower used to forge magic weapons and artifacts. Every petal reacted to one another, and pouring it into a sword art or into a sword array could make the power of the magic energy exhibit the greatest levels. Moreover, pouring into the life-bound heart flower, even if other people obtained it, it was difficult to erase the original owner's divine intent. This kind of strange flower, according to the market value in gold, one stalk was worth a minimum of 10,000 pieces of platinum. In gold, that was 100 million liang, at the very least. That jadeite bamboo was even more serious. Yuan nearly shouted when she saw it. 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo. 5. Suppressing evil gem bamboo was a wood category of supreme-grade spirit item, and this item had a deity effect. The magic weapons forged from this could exorcise and suppress demons. The pure spiritual energy contained in the 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo could steadily nourish cultivators and expand their magic energy. This kind of thing basically was invaluable, and there was hearsay the Heavenly Gem Valley, 6, merely kept a little. This old Taoist unexpectedly collected such a rarely seen thing. Yuan was speechless. Could it be he was gathering the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements swords materials? Wu Xinjie was amazed. Heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword. And Suan went blank. Su Xing promptly opened the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements swords wooden chapter. Taking a look, he drew in a breath of cold air. For the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword to forge a wood element sword, the main ingredients happen to require a stick of suppressing evil gem bamboo, a life-bound heart flower and some putua black bamboo sand. 7. Su Xing opened those flasks, and he really found a purple and green bottle. Inside was precisely the putua black bamboo sand. Then, isn't that saying Master currently can forge a wood element magic sword? Lin Yingmei unexpectedly said. I'm afraid not. Su Xing shook his head, a little regretful. Although the materials to forge a wooden sword were complete, the jade strip had the seals and the procedures for the magic circle and such to forge it. What Su Xing understood about weapon refinement was merely limited to a few of Wu Tai's experiences and notes. Classified as that sort of grade of beginner who just got his foot in the door, to forge this kind of divine weapon, how could Su Xing have any background? It could be seen from ancestor Baili retaining these materials and not refining that he could not be careless about this matter. What a pity, what a pity. Yuan really felt this was too pitiful. If we let the gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long, 8, forge it, then it isn't impossible. Wu Xinjie muttered, asking, do you know where Tang Long is? The gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long was an expert in forging and weapon refinement in the 108 star generals. Using her abilities, forging this was not any sort of problem. And Suan and Shi Qian shook their heads. The gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long's star was the solitary star, and her natural disposition was very reclusive, practically wishing to never encounter any star generals. In the past star duels, the solitary star Tang Long often was in the final few stages. Only when her identity was revealed would she be found by other star masters. Speaking from a certain kind of respect, her presence concealment was even more powerful than Shi Qian's. Since this approach would not work, the sole method was only to do it themselves. Having ample food and clothing, giving this to other people, no one could be relieved. As it happened, Su Xing also wanted to experience refining bullets. Shopkeeper Su, something's happened. This moment, the nervous yell of a waiter suddenly came through. And Suan walked out, and in less than 10 minutes, she returned. The divine physician's face carried a trace of a grave expression. Big brother Su Xing, all of you sisters, let us quickly depart. What's happened? Everyone was stunned. And Suan bitterly smiled. Suan was careless. Someone has discovered the relationship between the cottage and big brother Su Xing and informed the Blooming Water Sword sect. Right now, there is currently a great quantity of cultivators here to arrest big brother. Little sister will go look again. Also, big brother, take my sisters and be careful. And Suan called, then turned around and walked out the door. Su Xing somewhat worried for her. Wu Xinjie smiled and said, young master, you'd best relax. Little sister Suan he enjoyed fame for healing the sick and dying in Heavenly Water City. Down to the last layman and up to the rippling wave kingdom's royal family, everyone without exception reveres her. Many star cultivators also frequently purchase some pills at the health cottage. Yuan nodded in approval. This young lady also only became acquainted with her after pass through Heavenly Water City and hearing Suan's fame. Although this much was said, Su Xing felt just letting a star maiden without an inch of steel confront 100 star cultivators was still a bit not too wise. Yingmei, you go watch over her. Be careful. Lin Yingmei nodded and left. Wu Xinjie watched Lin Yingmei leave, looked around, then lightly pranced towards Su Xing. Young master, just now, Xinjie recalled there is another item that needs to be handed over to young master. What thing? Wu Xinjie's face wore a giddy red, and she suddenly undressed. 2. The Shi Yuan to the side, who was in the middle of comprehending the MO attack mechanism records, saw Wu Xinjie bare her breasts. 3. Opening her eyes wide. It's come to this time, so don't make trouble. Su Xing's voice was somewhat stern. Wu Xinjie gave a wry smile, making a coquettish glance. Young master, what are you thinking about? Xinjie is just returning the golden thread fish scale armor to young master. Her clothing softly fell, revealing a finely threaded, fish-scaled golden soft armor. I'll leave this for you since you have use for it anyways. Su Xing touched his nose. Xinjie holding on to this is also a waste. Wu Xinjie walked close to Su Xing and straddled his thigh. That winding virgin fragrance indeed managed to stir up feelings. Should something befall young master, what should we sisters do? The knowledge star glanced at the Shi Yuan sitting before the table, the latter already dumbfounded. Young master, could you help Xinjie undress? Wu Xinjie said in a low and charming voice, both hands wrapped around Su Xing's shoulders. Su Xing inwardly said, what an alluring woman. Grabbing the golden thread fish scale armor's hem, he pulled it upwards. Wu Xinjie lifted her arms, sticking out her chest. The embroidery had a lotus light blue, and her undergarments were then raised into the clouds. That towering plumpness seemed to want to break out of her clothes. Wu Xinjie was just about to stick on her red lips when, at this time, a low cry came from outside the door. Big brother. And Suwen's face was red, and she turned her head away. Wu Xinjie. Lin Yingmei truly was furious to death. Could it be this knowledge star did not know the price of losing her virginity? 5. Xinjie only is returning the golden thread fish scale armor to young master. Wu Xinjie pecked him, then left Su Xing's thigh, picking up her clothes to cover her sexy upper body. Shi Yuan covered her feverish nose. Wu Xinjie, you really are too bold. Wu Xinjie looked at her out of the corner of her eye. Elder sister, doing so very much indeed has a purpose. How is it outside? Su Xing changed the topic. Master, many of the blooming water sword sect's people that have great cultivations are almost here. The blooming water sword sect really did issue the alliance of 10-kill warrant. Lin Yingmei's tone was ice cold. We had better leave first. This place is the blooming water sword sect's domain. Wu Xinjie tidied her hair, muttering, the alliance of 10-kill warrant seems dreadful, but the other 9 schools would not necessarily stick themselves out for the blooming water sword sect. It's just that the other schools' star masters are somewhat troublesome. The majestic star who signed a contract definitely would shake the entire Azure Dragon territory, and it was hard to say if these star masters had a killing mindset. There is a small transfer magic circle, 6, in the middle of the house. Big brother can follow Suwen. And Suwen promptly said. Sister Suwen, you surprisingly prepared the small transfer magic circle? Shi Yuan asked, astonished. And Suwen also guards against the unexpected. Wu Xinjie thought this was a matter of course. Because of Suwen's calm and attention, there absolutely was no possibility she did not keep a way out. From outside the room suddenly came a booming noise. Several powerful pressures enveloped the residence. Through the window, in the air were several brilliant lights. Majestic star. Quickly roll yourself outside and accept death. A chilly woman's voice shouted. There is no time to lose, we had better leave quickly. Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan indicated. The two people knew that at this time, they could not be a burden on Su Xing, and they immediately hid into the star nest as Lin Yingmei took the Arctic Star Serpent Spear in her hand. Your servant shall shield master. The majestic star was about to rush out, but she was grabbed by Su Xing. Master? Don't be impulsive. Su Xing shook his head. Judging by the imposing air from outside the door, there were at least 10 galaxy stage cultivators and even more star cultivators were approaching here as an unending flow to provide assistance. These star cultivators came prepared, so how could dealing with them be this simple? The small transfer array is in a storeroom not far away. We just need to get there. And Yuan said in a low voice. I've implicated little sister. Su Xing felt guilty. And Yuan shook her head. Several dozen sword lights filled the sky and shot downwards. Those already unable to hold back had used the ability of their sword arts, and they heard the woman who spoke initially shout in astonishment, Headmaster, that divine physician is still inside. Harboring a hoodlum, death cannot wipe out the crimes. The Taoist Luo River coldly smiled. The house loudly collapsed, and the 100 sword lights were blocked by Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Serpent Spear. Arctic Star Serpent Spear. It really is the majestic star. The several dozen star cultivators in the sky were stunned. Do not be afraid. Lin Chong first offended my sect in the past, and I presume that Liangshan Maiden will not say anything. The Taoist Luo River pointed a hand seal, and the sky swirled a water thunder. That blooming water divine thunder was just like a blue wave of a dragon surging through the sea of clouds. Thunderlight accumulated, and it seemed that as far as control of the blooming water divine thunder was concerned, the control was considerably brilliant. He was worthy of being called the blooming water sword sex headmaster. Go! The Taoist Luo River pointed. The thunderlight dragon rolled screaming towards the three people. Lin Yingmei shouted, clear and ringing. She lifted the Arctic Star Spear above her, and the spear edge cut open a dense, cold light. The cold light then collided with the blooming water divine thunder into a single piece, and the sky above Heavenly Water City immediately exploded with a water-blue thunder light. Su Xing at this moment continuously discharged Silver Blade. All of the thunder fire bullets were completely shot out. More than 50 thunder fire bullets in the shortest of times filled the entire space, and the power of the other star cultivators' artifacts and techniques slammed together. These galaxy cultivators' magic energy broke the thunder fire bullets like paper scraps. Su Xing did not expect the thunder fire bullets to have any kind of threat, but what he needed was only to fight for a bit of time. The thunder fire bullets detonated in the sky into 50 balls of flame, the explosions continuous, unexpectedly forming a frightening grandeur. A few star cultivators that wanted to rush over were immediately blown back. Let's leave quickly. Su Xing hastily said. The three ran towards the storeroom. Don't think of running. The Taoist Luo River's cultivation was the highest. Seeing they wanted to run, he suddenly shouted. During that sudden shout, what appeared in his hand was a completely dark blue, having 9 segments, circulating amulets, just like flowing water long whip. One look could discern this was not an ordinary artifact. The Taoist Luo River thrashed it, and the long whip hacked towards their faces, tearing a blue light. The thunder fire bullet's remaining power was unexpectedly entirely eliminated under this whip. The Arctic Star Spear blocked, and the long whip burst out a terrible thunder. The web between Lin Yingmei's thumb and forefinger tore, her whole body trembled, and she vomited a mouthful of blood. Even a 1-star Arctic Star Spear was unable to support her, frightening indeed. Yingmei, you take Yuan and leave. Su Xing ordered, his tone leaving no room for refusal. Lin Yingmei immediately retreated back and rushed with Yuan towards the storeroom. You indeed are a man. The Taoist Luo River coldly smiled, see if you can or cannot block this sect's astral treasure, Shooting Star Whip. 7. Shooting Star Whip, unexpectedly, it was an astral treasure. How could Su Xing dare to touch it? Spitting out a mouthful of essence blood, the essence blood condensed then dispersed. A golden long sword shockingly appeared in his hand, it was that Vajra's evil smiting sword. This Vajra's evil smiting sword was acquired from overcoming the Devil Star Giant in the clouds Song Jia, a 1-star evil smiting sword already completely filled with star energy. Originally, Su Xing's artifacts greatly decreased, and he wanted to use the Vajra's evil smiting sword to prepare for future misfortunes. He never expected he would have to use it this soon. Seeing that the Taoist Luo River had brought out an astral treasure, it was too late for Su Xing to have regrets. His hand clenched the evil smiting sword, a golden light flashing. Go! The space was taken over by a lacerating blue light. The long whip was like a shooting star, fiercely falling upon Su Xing's head. Great Wisdom King Cleave. Su Xing's star energy gathered, and the Vajra's sword blocked the shooting star whip's might. A golden sword light flushed out of the evil smiting sword and formed a frightening augur shape. 8. That astral treasure was matchlessly powerful. Surprisingly, a whip could whip apart a great Wisdom King Cleave's sword light into two halves, just like a sharp weapon would part the sea. However, a Star General's star weapon was not inferior to an astral treasure, and the divided sword light was still imposing and fierce. A sharp whip crack whipped onto Su Xing, and Su Xing was fiercely in pain. This shooting star whip was quite terrible. Whipping onto his body, his skin hurt with a painful heat. His own protective star energy had instantly been torn apart, his internal organs and body seemed to have been whipped into two halves. He was in enough pain to wish that he was no longer alive. Fortunately, the Vajra's evil smiting sword's great Wisdom King Cleave already got rid of a majority of the power. Otherwise, if this whipped his body, Su Xing simply would not need to lament nonsense, he would have been directly crippled. Young Master! Su Xing! Wu Xinjia and Shi Yuan in the star nest simultaneously cried out, their worries far exceeding these wounds, but the two knew that they could not do anything if they appeared. On the other hand, if there were 3 stars at the same time, they risked turning their master into a genuine public enemy. For the time being, they could only restrain themselves. The Taoist Luo River also received the Great Wisdom King Cleave's attack. Luckily, his magic energy was robust and he had artifacts to protect himself that resisted it, but the second time he drew the whip, he briefly hesitated. The blooming water sword sects other star cultivators to point their flying swords and pounced towards the Su Xing struggling on his deathbed. Just at this moment, a brilliant light flashed. Purple thunder heavenly calamity. Go! With a cold yell, the thief star Shi Yuan fantastically left the star nest, throwing out more than a dozen purple talismans. Those pouncing star cultivators immediately were scared to a stop by the attack, continuously fleeing in every direction, to avoid this purple talisman. The evil reputation of the purple thunder monster that killed ancestor Baili more or less had that much of a shadow in their hearts. And this much of a split second gave Su Xing a chance to catch his breath. Master, leave. Shi Yuan shielded Su Xing, promptly seizing the chance to retreat into the storeroom. As it turned out, at this moment, Ansuan's small transfer array already launched. They entered the small transfer array, and in an instant, the room distorted, brilliant light scattering in all directions. Moreover, those startled apart cultivators looked. The purple talismans that were thrown out were but ordinary miasma chi talismans. 9. Immediately, they were stamped their feet in anger, hastily controlling their flying swords to move over for the kill. The Taoist Luo River regained a bit of his vigor, the shooting star whip hacking towards them. The storeroom split open with a bang. Not good, it's a small transfer array. Ling Xian shouted loudly. Countless flying swords and artifacts fiendishly attacked. But at this moment, it was already a step too late. The small transfer array flashed, and Su Xing and the rest disappeared from sight. Exactly at this time, the storeroom was leveled by the cold light of countless flying swords. The abilities of Liangshan continent's favorite magic circles stretched back to the distant past, and among them, the transfer magic circle that could teleport 1,000 li away was even more of an absolute. Although the small transfer magic circle could not be compared with that sort of large transfer magic circle that could flash away 1,000,000 li, moving within 100 li was sufficient to leave the Taoist Luo River with no strategy left to try. How could a divine physician have this sort of thing? Ling Xian was stunned. I'm afraid it seems that divine physician is not simple. The Taoist Luo River very fiercely recalled the shooting star whip, ordering, "Immediately go search." This Taoist does not believe he can run away within 100 li. 200 li outside of Heavenly Water City, the lower reaches of the Heavenly River, Tile Dyke Village, a common house, and an azure light appeared within the courtyard. Subsequently and unhurriedly, several figures appeared out of thin air. "Big brother! Young master, master!" Brimming with anxiety, there were concerned shouts. Su Xing vomited a mouthful of blood, half kneeling on the ground. Still, Shi Yuan deftly lent him an arm as support. "Quickly have young master enter the house." Wu Xinjie left the star nest, frightened and dreading. Shi Yuan promptly carried Su Xing into the house. Do not underestimate her as seemingly slim and delicate, for her powerful strength was not the average sort. Parting his clothes, the flesh and skin on the inside flipped out to reveal a wretched sight that made everyone's heart ache. That shooting star whip truly was demonic. A deep and clearly visible wound from his shoulder straight to his thigh bubbled forth blood like an injection. Luckily, Wu Xinjie gave Su Xing the golden thread fish scale armor to put on beforehand, otherwise, they truly did not dare to imagine what would have happened this time. However, even if things were like this, that golden thread fish scale armor had a ghastly hole torn into it by the shooting star whip. A small cut. Su Xing forced a smile. "Big brother, do not speak. Little sister will help examine you." And Suan's white hand flipped, showing several small bottles, taking out one of them and pouring some powder onto the wound. The wound immediately seemed to be on fire. It hurt powerfully, and Su Xing grit his teeth. "Little sister, what is this medicine?" "Connecting muscle powder, too, big brother Su Xing, bear with it for a bit." A white divine light condensed in Suan's palm. The halo dispersed, and like warm, running water, it fell onto the wound and slowly eased the pain. Then, Suan again gave Su Xing several spirit pills to ingest. A long time afterwards, Su Xing slowly lost consciousness. "Master, did something happen?" Lin Yingmei asked, somewhat restless. "Sister Yingmei, you also are injured, Suan will help examine you." And Suan cried out in alarm. "This servants is not serious." Lin Yingmei's greatest concern still was Su Xing. "Nothing will happen to big brother." The efficacious star, the divine physician, saying as much made the three girls relax. Shi Yuan gnashed her teeth. That old Taoist truly is savage. Next time, this young lady definitely will steal from his sect until it is overturned, and only then can my hate be resolved. Fortunately, you fooled those star cultivators at the end. Lin Yingmei accepted Suan's treatment while saying so. If it was not for the thief star's sudden bright idea to lie and bluff those star cultivators' counterattack, perhaps it would be difficult to escape. Shi Yuan sat across from and indicated to the Wu Xinjie at Su Xing's side. "It was Sister Xinjie that wanted me to do that." The knowledge star asked if I had purple talismans, that saying it was the purple thunder heavenly calamity could help Su Xing break the encirclement, and it actually worked. Everyone has taken big brother Su Xing to be the purple thunder monster. They definitely have been scared stiff. And Suan interjected a word. Lin Yingmei thoughtfully looked at Wu Xinjie. "What should we do next? Those star cultivators seem unlikely to give up. When the master wakes, then we can say more." Su Xing slowly opened his eyes. Raising his body, he saw Wu Xinjie lying next to him, her head resting on her arms. Seeing her selflessly at his side caring for him, Su Xing's heart warmed, and he brushed away the hair on the girl's forehead. Wu Xinjie also slowly awoke, and seeing Su Xing awakened, her exhaustion completely disappeared in an instant. "You take a rest first." Su Xing smiled. Wu Xinjie smiled as she shook her head, batting her eyes. "Young master, you're finally up." Xinjie almost thought of taking advantage of the time young master was sleeping to commit atrocities. Su Xing sized up the bedroom. A few willow wood furniture filled with books, an old bottle, and a portrait. Seemingly simple and brimming with a literary reputation, the faint fragrance of medicine still lingered in the air. Wu Xinjie explained once through to him what transpired. Su Xing's rest had used 2 days. The efficacious star, the divine physician and Daochuan's medical arts were outstanding. Even if he did not die under this astral treasure, he would have still needed several months to recover at the minimum. Now, that wound on his body had only left behind a faint scar. The two people left the bedroom. Entering the living room, Yuan was right in the middle of meticulously studying every kind of mechanism. When she saw Su Xing, Yuan put down the materials in her hands, and in a pleasant surprise, rushed over and hugged him. Her sweet, skin-tight, well-rounded and lovable body tightly stuck onto him, and Su Xing felt a bit embarrassed towards the thief star's enthusiasm. Wu Xinjie covered her mouth, laughing up her sleeve. Lin Yingmei and Ensuan also returned. Upon seeing Su Xing unhurt, they could not help but sigh in relief. Ever since he had signed a contract with the Majestic Star, this was considered to be the most dangerous thing Su Xing had encountered. Astral treasures truly could not be held in contempt. Su Xing felt around the ripped-open golden thread fish scale armor in a bout of pity. How have the circumstances been recently? Has that sword sect come to the door yet? Su Xing asked. Little sister Suan's plan was very thorough. This is within the range of influence of the Heavenly River Sword School. The Blooming Water Sword sect did come, but they very quickly left. Wu Xinjie praised. However, matters appear to be a bit grim. Yuan twitched her mouth. During the time Su Xing lost consciousness, the Knowledge Star had the Thief Star ask around the outside for intelligence, to understand the situation. Rather than say that the alliance of 10-kill warrant shook the Azure Dragon territory, it would be more precise to say that the Majestic Star contracting a master in the Azure Dragon territory raised a violent commotion. All star cultivators discussing the topic of star masters spoke of topics pertaining to Lin Chong and her master. They might as well have been paying respects to that Purple Thunder monster's evil reputation. Although the entire Azure Dragon territory was smothering Lin Chong and Su Xing, just a very few actually dared to kill. A star master that could successively get rid of 2 star generals and even get rid of a supercluster cultivator, and he was also the first master the Majestic Star had in 1,000 years. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Who would easily be willing to provoke him but a few great sects such as the Clear Void Taoists that could act? Of course, the star masters that wished to throttle Su Xing were perhaps not few. Suan is as bold as to say a word. Currently, the disturbance is this great. Big brother Su Xing had better first hide for about a year and wait for the situation to cool down. What Suan said had reason. Right now, the Azure Dragon territory's atmosphere ran high on the mood to kill Lin Chong and her master. Under this atmosphere, everywhere was a great danger. It would be better to first lay low and wait for the fuss to die down, to conceal his strength and bide time. Su Xing currently just happened to need weapon refinement, and he could find a weapon refinement and such sect to hone his strength. Should he be able to forge the wood element sword of the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword, that would be a great weapon. But there already are 49 crimson stars. We are 3 stars away from the second phase, birth outline. Probably in these next few months, I'm afraid we will miss it. Wu Xinjie knit her brow. The wind-swayed raft is at a loss. Su Xing is only a nebula middle stage, and his unable to ride a sword also makes this too late, right? Yuan pondered. If this is discovered by those star cultivators, he couldn't run if he wanted to. Lin Yingmei nodded. She felt the top priority was not the matter of the birth outline. As long as I learn sword riding, it will be fine. Su Xing heavily sighed. If he could ride a sword, things would not be so distressing. Refining the frail star energy from the 2 star generals of the battle at Grindstone Mountain, he would soon have reached the apex, but his vigor was greatly injured by the shooting star whip. His current star energy had also reached a bottleneck, and there simply was no hope to break through to Nebula late stage without 3 months. Big brother Su Xing, this kind of matter of cultivation cannot be rushed. Ensuan said. Wu Xinjie stared at Ensuan. Suddenly, her eyes shone, revealing a mysterious smile. Xinjie actually has a way. It can let young master enter Nebula late stage within these few days. Knowledge star, what way is there? It definitely cannot harm master. Lin Yingmei and Shi Yuan nervously asked. Wu Xinjie lightly smiled, how could Xinjie harm master? Xinjie indeed is preparing to let master enjoy luck with women. Just what way is this? The knowledge star resourceful star Wu Yong fixed her eyes on Ensuan, showing a charming ambiguity. 1. Right arrow curving left 2. I do not have this type of pill. Ensuan apologetically replied. Wu Xinjie giggled, little sister Suan, do you like young master Su Xing? Of course I like big brother Su Xing. Ensuan's calm made people feel her affection was that of between brothers and sisters. Su Xing slightly understood what Wu Xinjie was planning. Xinjie, you aren't thinking of having me and Suan sign a star dual covenant, are you? Exactly. The knowledge star nodded. Ah. The group stared blankly. If it was from before, probably they would have felt the knowledge star's brain was frying, but after signing on his third star general, the thief star, Lin Yingmei was not too certain Su Xing had a limit when all was said and done. Elder sister knowledge star is joking. Because big brother Su Xing saved little sister Shi Yuan it was doable, but Suan appears to not have anything special. The efficacious star the divine physician shook her head and smiled. Suan, there is never harm in trying, is there? Wu Xinjie also did not have confidence, but since the divine physician and Suan and Su Xing matched as brother and sister, their relationship could be considered to be very close. Since he could smash Liangshan continent's star dual structure and sign a third star, then how could they definitely not try for a fourth star? Young master, do you agree? Wu Xinjie asked. Suan is my little sister, that can't be too good, right? Su Xing hesitated. It's precisely because she is your sister that you need to sign. You can never hand over your cute little sister to someone else, right? Wu Xinjie mischievously winked. How could Su Xing not know what she meant? Su Xing did not want to compel others, finally directing an inquiring gaze towards Ensuan. If big brother is willing, little sister is willing to give it a try. Ensuan was not in opposition at all. Hurry and try it now. Remember that you must want to sign a contract. Wu Xinjie somewhat expectantly came to a seat and sat together along with Lin Yingmei and Shi Yuan to the side to watch the spectacle, her mood slightly excited. Su Xing approached Ensuan, knowing saying anything more was useless. In Liangshan's star duels, being able to sign a contract with Ensuan was, in the end, not a bad thing. Just as Wu Xinjie said, his little sister certainly needed the love of her own family, and he could not let the fertile water flow to the fields of outsiders. Ensuan's cheeks were a light scarlet. Her clean, bright and beautiful eyes were somewhat expectant and somewhat restless. If she were to say she was not tempted to contract with Su Xing, then she was deceiving herself, but losing to the thief star, she truly did not know what should she do. After all, this did not have a precedent, so Ensuan could still have a hopeful fantasy. Are you ready? Su Xing faintly asked. Ensuan affirmed. Su Xing held Ensuan's shoulders, and the girl's heart tightened, her palms sweating. Just as she thought of the matter of the contract, she suddenly saw Su Xing lower his head and plant a kiss on top of her lips. This kind of matter of kissing each other's lips, for a moment, made Ensuan's entire body motionless. Her eyes opened wide, seemingly incapable of believing, but following Su Xing's tenderness touching her red lips, Ensuan's eyes seemingly raised a layer of rain and fog, hazy and moist, sinking down without any sort of resistance. Returning Su Xing's kiss, the efficacious star's first kiss was taken just like that. An orange star crest shimmered on the two people's foreheads, and a gorgeous star array fluttered and whirled. The three beautiful maidens to the side were dumbstruck. A fourth star general. Su Xing really contracted a fourth star general. Sister Xinjie, just what sort of person is Su Xing? Sure, Yuan's face was filled with adoration. Contracting four sisters, who would believe it if they said so? However, Su Xing truly is very shameless, unexpectedly using a kiss, the thief star giggled. In the sky outside the room, a crimson star gradually lit up. And Suan let out an alluring sigh, somewhat reluctant to part as they ended their fervent kiss. Big brother, how could you be like this towards little sister? And Suan's tender voice was without strength, her eyes containing 3 parts blame and 7 parts joy. What did I do wrong? Su Xing actually did not know where he went wrong because the 3 before were contracted after the kiss. His subconscious mind believed contracts required a kiss to work. If Ansuan knew her first kiss was this confusedly taken away, she would not know whether she should rejoice or grieve. Master Su Xing, use Ri too lecherous. No wonder Xinjie wants to satisfy you. Sure, Yuan laughed aloud. Wu Xinjie glared at her, and she also saw that Su Xing apparently knew nothing about contracts. She turned her eyes, not at all bluntly pointing things out, but nervously asking, young Master Su Xing, do you see anything abnormal? Su Xing experimented a bit. There was a sudden star energy swelling up inside his body, and his ocean of consciousness had an additional trace of inspiration pertaining to medicine arts and medical knowledge. Clearly, this was the efficacious star the divine physician and Daochuan's mark slowly assimilating. From any perspective, this was a perfect and immaculate contract. Su Xing had succeeded signing the contract. His star energy stopped swelling, and as long as he slightly refined Ansuan's star energy to completion, entering nebula late stage was not a problem, and even approaching galaxy was possible. Then Xinjie has a plan. Does young master want to listen? Su Xing nodded as an indication. Currently, 2 stars are still needed, and then the birth outline will begin. It would be better that before the next crimson star falls, young master for now cultivates in Tile Dike village. Then, when the last crimson star remains, go to the divining star platform to inquire about the Liangshan outlaw token. 2. The Liangshan outlaw token was a required item for star masters. Besides rapid cultivation, an absolutely safe secret base also was a great help, and at that time, they would not need to worry about being chased. If Xinjie has not guessed wrongly, nearby the divining star platform definitely will be many enemies waiting for young master to walk right into a trap. Temporarily, it is best to not go. Wu Xinjie judged the situation. Because everyone knew that star masters possessed the token's benefits, the Su Xing being pursued by the Alliance of 10 certainly was forced to go to Liangshan. 3. That's fine, however, I will make the Blooming Water Sword sect rescind the kill warrant. Su Xing coldly smiled. The star maidens revealed unconvinced expressions, and even the resourceful star did not know what Su Xing was planning. The Blooming Water Sword sect's strength was greatly injured, and suffering a humiliation, they would need to swallow back down the words they spat. If he really could do it, then he truly was a genius. Wu Xinjie did not ask any more, her unconscious mind nevertheless very convinced Su Xing could turn the tables. In order to deal with the birth outline that could launch at any time, the Knowledge Star even arranged each of their own training plans. Besides the chaotic tail escape and the soul technique, Su Xing first of all used the Blooming Water Cultivating Origin Pills to accelerate the 5 Spirits Law Heavenly Book's Blooming Water Divine Thunder Power. His remaining time was spent cultivating fighting capabilities with the Majestic Star. Lin Yingmei strengthened her yellow rank spear technique, Long Blizzard Nights, and if she could comprehend her dark rank spear technique, that would only be even better. The thief star Yuan delved into the MO attack mechanism records puppet mechanism arts and comprehended her dark rank magic. Xinjie herself began to start on preparations for the divining star platform, the birth outline and such of a series of matters. She also made herself enter the dark rank magic. The efficacious star, the divine physician, naturally was refining a few pills. At any moment, the pills always were able to be used at the pivotal point. Suan, how is the training of your essence-swallowing dragon? Wu Xinjie abruptly remembered it. And Suan took out an astral gemstone. A slim, almost thread-like, fine demon beast flew out and lay on the girl's shoulder. The essence-swallowing dragon was smaller than it initially was at the Kun Wu monument, not trying at all to swallow essence chi. What a pity, there's only one. Su Xing said. Actually it can reproduce more, however, and Suan wanted to say something but hesitated. However, what? Could it be needs a lot of expensive essence materials? Wu Xinjie asked. The essence-swallowing dragon uses fissiparity. It needs essence chi to live, and swallowing more perfect essence chi gives it a greater chance to reproduce. However, perfect spirit chi is very rare. Su Xing knew and Suan hesitated like this, and he smiled, this suppressing evil gem bamboo. Suan, you take and use it. A blue light flashed, and the suppressing evil gem bamboo appeared. The essence-swallowing dragon saw it and began to stir, but without Suan's command, it could only drool with desire. But Big Brother needs it to forge a divine weapon. And Suan shook her head. The 1,000-year suppressing evil gem bamboo was an extremely fine nourishment for the essence-swallowing dragon, and it could exhibit great effect during the early stages of training. However, like this, it would be hard to avoid damaging the suppressing evil gem bamboo's perfect spirit chi. Don't worry, this suppressing evil gem bamboo already has 1,000 years. Its perfect spirit chi can self-recover, and leaving it right now is also a waste. Su Xing said. And Suan saw this and did not decline any further. Right, which of you can advance your star weapon to its first star? I still have lots of surplus relic blade sand. Su Xing said. Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Spear required 40 liang of relic blade sand and 6 pieces of daybreak frost and snow essence, 5, to advance to the second star. Su Xing currently had 69 liang of relic blade sand, however, pity that the two did not have a single daybreak frost and snow essence. Lin Yingmei said herself that advancing to the third star would no longer require relic blade sand, and the leftover 29 liang was enough for the 3 maidens to each advance a rank, provided that their materials were all ready. Shi Yuan directed her gaze to Wu Xinjie. The knowledge star knew her meaning, smiling, if little sister can advance, then advance your star weapon first. Xinjie does not have a single piece of her required, falling water star crystal. 6. This young lady doesn't need to for now. Sister Suan's child and mother linked heart's needles, 7, actually can advance first. Wu Xinjie nodded. Using the child and mother linked heart's needles for medical examinations and healing was effective. The efficacious star's star weapon grade advancement materials were far from being as harsh as a heavenly star's. Her materials were all complete. As for relic blade sand, the efficacious star herself had collected 5 liang, and 10 liang was sufficient to refine her child and mother linked heart's needles. The remaining 24 liang again was divided into 14 liang of relic blade sand to be given to Shi Yuan to refine her hoodwinking flying claws. And like this, Su Xing's 4 beautiful ladies, had among them 3 each that had a destined star weapon advanced to 1 star. Moreover, the base ingredient spirit sand holy was the treasured relic blade sand, and placed in the entire Liangshan continent, there were no precedent ancients. And this was merely the beginning. 1. Remember, the explanation the author gave about contracts was for the reader only. Su Xing himself has yet to know about the other forms of contracts. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. Coined by Chairman Mao, this basically means taking drastic measures. Right arrow curving left 4. It undergoes mitosis, it seems. Right arrow curving left 5. Right arrow curving left 6. Is Mercury, the planet for an FYI? I don't think the author means for the material to be falling Mercury crystal, right arrow curving left 7. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.